Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is the 15th episode of the story, where Naruto is raised by Jiraya and Tsunade. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel after watching the video. So, let us begin. After the Crimson Citadel was secured, Mei ordered the rest of her forces back into the Kirigakure's Hope. Once they were in the security of the open sea, the Mizukage aspirant called for a meeting at the ship's war room. Like the previous meeting, her highest-ranking officers and Konoha's Jonin were present. First of all, congratulations everybody on a job well done. We managed to recover most of our prisoners of war, my head of intelligence among them, and we did so while sustaining minimal losses. Mei praised all the ninja before them, before her expression turned serious. However, what we did back then is nothing compared to the task ahead. It is now time to invade Kirigakure. And there are more complications than the ones we initially expected, right? Kakashi guessed. Mei sadly nodded. Yes. Despite our best efforts, they managed to sneak a message to Kirigakure, and now Yagura knows what happened there. Since he knows we finally came out of hiding, we have no choice but attack Kirigakure now. If we take too long, Yagura will drag us into a war of attrition we have no hope of winning. And do you believe that, with our current forces, we will be able to take over a major village? Asuma asked. Especially now that they know we're coming for them, Kurenai added. Yes. Now that we rescued so many POWs, our numbers have grown to a more acceptable level. Besides, there might be a silver lining to our prison break not being a secret anymore, Mei stated and nodded at Ao, who took a step forward. This victory has proven that the Blood Mist is not invincible. We know of many groups and individuals who opposed Yagura, but feared him too much to join us. We believe it might not be the case anymore, Ao explained. And with the news that we now have 4 of the 7 swords in our power, as opposed to the 2 that remains within the village's walls, it will help our cause to gain more support as well, especially with the feudal lord of the Land of Water. But we shouldn't ignore the fact that even with the additional support, the information leak robbed us of the element of surprise. Yagura will be waiting for us to come, and there won't be any way to prevent that, Mei added. Kirigakure has 2 accesses, one from land, and a gated dock, Ao continued. I can take a small team with me to infiltrate the village and open the dock gates, just like Amuri did when we stormed the prison, Zabuza suggested. Mei, however, shook her head. Sadly, such thing won't be possible anymore, since Yagura will be expecting that. In fact, my original plan consisted in luring Yagura's forces to the land gate, while a small team of infiltrators would open the dock gates, which the bulk of our troops would use to penetrate the village and trap the enemy between us. The typical pincer movement. Our best option would be to do the last thing Yagura expects us to do. But that would be full assault from land, and we aren't going to do that, Chojuro pointed out, then he nervously looked at Mei. Right? Mei looked at him, and sighed. I'm afraid we have no other options. Needless to say, the whole room erupted into a cacophony of yells, shouts and even profanities as the present ninjas tried to support or debunk the reckless, almost suicidal strategy of the Mizukage aspirant. It took Ao and Mei a couple minutes to calm down everybody, at which Mei continued her explanation. I'm not done yet. Listen, I'm not suggesting that we take over the village with our current forces. That's impossible and stupid. But we can do what we did at the Crimson Citadel. If we kill or capture Yagura, the other side will have no choice but surrender, Mei explained. But they will expect that too as well. The Mizukage's palace will be heavily guarded. How will we reach Yagura then? Akiri Jonin asked. While the village defenders are busy with our forces, a small team led by myself will infiltrate the palace and confront Yagura. We will either kill him or capture him alive. Presumably the latter, Mei explained. Why do you care so much if that monster dies? He's the reason we're doing this, another Kiri ninja protested. Mei nodded at Ao, who took another step forward. Because, while there's no solid evidence to back it up, we suspect that the Mizukage might be under somebody else's mind control. After sharing our intel with our Konoha allies, we suspect that it might be the same man who orchestrated several attacks on Konoha, an Akatsuki under the name of Obito Uchiha, Ao told them. Kakashi couldn't help but sigh in sadness upon hearing his former friend's name. Kirigakure too, Obito? Is this because of what Kiri did to Rin? So if we manage to expose the Mizukage, we will be able to end this while avoiding unnecessary bloodshed, Ao finished, taking a step back. Who will be part of the infiltration squad? Zabuza eagerly asked. It was obvious he was dying to have another shot at fighting Yagura. Besides myself, it will only have one more ninja, Naruto Uzumaki, Mei told them. What? You want my student to fight a Hokage on his own? Kurenai indignantly asked. Asuma placed a hand on his girlfriend's shoulder, hoping to wordlessly calm her down. As far as I've been told, Naruto is a special jonin who has mastered senjutsu, and is the Jinchuriki of the strongest tailed beast. Between the two of us, we should be able to subdue Yagura and whoever is guarding him, Mei explained. I know that you might feel attached to him given he's your student, and he's pretty young as well. But don't worry, Naruto will be fine under my care. But even then just you and him? Shouldn't a 4-squad man will have a higher chances of success? Kurenai suggested. Mei shook her head once again. They will expect infiltrators. The fewer we are, the less chances of being spotted. And between the two of us, the only ninja we should worry about is Yagura himself. I understand. It doesn't mean that I have to like it, but I understand it, Kurenai regretfully said. Mei smiled. Good. Now that's out of the way, let's talk about the invasion in a more minute detail. Konoha's medical corps will be a key to keep our casualties to a minimum. The enemy will foresee that, so we should assign a division to keep them alive, and Mei and the rest of the jonin there spent the rest of the day discussing the invasion plan. Once lunchtime was over, the ship's cafeteria soon became empty, as everybody else went to spend their time elsewhere. Everybody except a certain blonde, who took advantage of the place's large tables and the current quietness in order to work in his current project. Naruto had created multiple clones and spread them around the table, all working tirelessly on a seal that could disable those pesky chakra golems, while the original studied the theory he had available now. Spread in front of him, there were several books and scrolls on Fuinjutsu, as well as several crumpled papers, the result of a failed attempt at seals. After his latest attempt followed the same route, Naruto groaned, and rubbed his eyes. Naruto-kun? Are you still here? Naruto turned around and saw Hinata walking towards him. Yeah, I am. Why, I'm not sure, the blonde half joked. Weren't you able to make the seal work? Hinata asked, as she took a seat beside him. Naruto shook his head. Counter seals are way more complex than regular seals. And the seals that power and direct those golems are way more complex than anything I've seen so far. If only Dad was here to help me, or had more time, don't feel so bad. You did what you could. Besides, it's not that those golems are invincible, Hinata reassured him. We beat them before. Yeah, but if I came up with a seal, it could help a lot with the invasion of Kirigakure, Naruto replied. Besides, I'm an Uzumaki, and these are Uzumaki seals. I should be able to know how to undo them, right? Oh, I see, so that's what's bothering you, Hinata realized. Huh? What do you mean? Naruto asked. You're facing an enemy that uses knowledge of your clan to fight, and that is eating you on the inside, Hinata pointed out. It's like if I fought an enemy with a stolen Byakugan. Naruto let out a weary sigh. And that's not the worst part. They seem to use it better than me, an actual Uzumaki. You'd think they have Uzumaki on their side or something. Naruto complained. From what you told me, the fall of Uzushio happened many decades ago. They had a lot of time to learn about their stolen Fuinjutsu art. Even with shadow clones, you can't hope to bridge such a massive gap, Hinata told him, as she placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. When all of this is over, I'm sure Mei-san will be more than happy to give you everything Kirigakure plundered from Uzushio. I hope so, Naruto said, not entirely convinced. And then, maybe we can convince Hokage-sama to create those golems for Konoha as well, Hinata suggested. That would be cool. I'm sure Dad would love to open one of those up and see how it works. I'm sure we could even find a way to make them better. Naruto excitedly said. Hinata smiled. Now that's the Naruto I know. Though, if you have some trouble with this, maybe you could ask Karen-san for help? I'm sure 2 Uzumaki are better than 1. Even if that 1 can become 100? Naruto cheekily replied. Does having 100 clones increase your intelligence 100-fold, or gives you a new 100 point of views and perspectives to see things? Hinata replied, just as cheekily. Naruto then frowned. You know, Hinata, nobody likes a smartass. Hinata, however, continued smiling, and kissed Naruto in the cheek. But I know you love this smartass, Naruto-kun. How I hate that you're right, Naruto said, as he returned the kiss as well. But seriously, you should ask Karen-san. Maybe she can be of help, Hinata insisted. Karen-nichan is more into medicine than Fuinjutsu, besides those chain thingies. And even then, I heard the invasion is going to be real soon, so I don't think we'll be able to pull it off, Naruto replied. In that case, then maybe you should try something more productive? Hinata asked. Do you want to spar with me a little? Yes, please, Naruto said in an almost desperate tone, happy to have an excuse to get away from the books and scrolls. Are you sure nobody can hear us? Kakashi and Rin were inside an empty cabin that wasn't used by anybody at the moment. The door was locked. Rin was wise enough to know that such thing wouldn't be enough to secure the privacy she needed. Fuinjutsu is far from my specialty, but I'm really good at privacy seals, Kakashi said as he finished placing the last one on the wall. When did you learn to do privacy seals? Rin asked. During my time in ANBU. They're pretty much a must. They made you do them so many times, you end being able to do them in your sleep, Kakashi answered. Kakashi had told Rin about how Minato convinced Kakashi to join ANBU in order to get him over the deaths of his teammates, though by Kakashi's own admission, that hardly helped him. It wasn't until he became the sensei of a team of genin that he started to rediscover his lost humanity. Rin was hoping she could also help with that. As well as try to bring Obito back from his dark place. And done. Nobody will hear us, and nobody can enter this room, Kakashi said, then he crossed his arm, and his friendly demeanor grew a bit more serious. Now, I believe there's something you should share with your old teammate. Rin sighed heavily. Even if Kakashi was one of the persons she trusted the most, it was still very hard to open up to him. Or maybe because it was so important to him. Wordlessly, Rin extended her hand at Kakashi, with the palm facing upwards. Kakashi took a look at her palm, seeing nothing at first, until a flower started to grow. The silver-haired man's expression remained unchanged. So, you do have wood release. Interesting, Kakashi observed, in an almost boring tone. Rin titled her head, a bit confused. Interesting? I have the first Hokage's bloodline limit, and that's all you have to say about it. Rin, I remember as if it was yesterday how I used my Chidori to impale you through the heart. Yet here you are, fine and unharmed, talking to me as if nothing happened. I think I went past the point of these kind of things being surprising, Kakashi replied in the same casual tone. Rin had to admit he had a point. Besides, you're not the only one in the village with that ability, Kakashi pointed out. I know. The Hokage's daughter has it as well, Rin stated. I mean besides her, Kakashi said. Rin was visibly surprised. During my time with ANBU, I met this guy who also had wood release. Turns out, Orochimaru had experimented on him as a baby in order to reproduce the wood release. Of the 50 children he infused with the first's DNA, he's the only one who survived. That's monstrous, Rin said, visibly horrified. She wanted to hope that Obito didn't do something similar in order to bring her back to life, but deep down she knew the answer. So, who else knows about this? Kakashi asked. Just Hokage-sama and Tsunade-sama, Rin replied. They told me not to tell anybody, at least until I could master my powers and grow stronger, since that would make me a prime target for kidnapping. I only used wood release back then because it was an emergency, and the fog could hide the nature of the jutsu I used. You did good in keeping it a secret, even from me. Don't worry, I won't tell anybody about your new abilities, Kakashi told her in a reassuring tone. That's not all, Rin uneasily said, as she rubbed her arm. What do you mean? Kakashi asked. Once again, without saying a word, Rin pulled out a kunai, and much to Kakashi's shock, she cut her pinky finger off, before tossing it to a trash can. Rin! What the dash? Kakashi asked in shock. Just wait, Rin calmly said as she held her 4-fingered hand. In less than a minute, the wound stopped bleeding and healed completely. Then, little by little, a small bulge appeared on her stump, and it grew longer until it became another finger. Can your friend do this too? Rin asked. This time, Kakashi was genuinely surprised. No. At least, I think he can't. I can regenerate my whole hand as well. Though I didn't dare to check if I could regenerate an arm or a leg, Rin explained. Kakashi knew that the first has a healing factor in a similar vein to Naruto's, in that he could heal in minutes wounds that would take hours or even days to normal people. But what Rin had was beyond that. I told you I don't think I'm the real Rin. I may not even be human anymore. Do you see why now? Rin asked. Kakashi could see why Rin was having such identity issues. Still, that didn't mean he wasn't going to help her. Hey, Rin, remember that time, during the Third Ninja War? Guy, you and me were completely surrounded by Iwa's forces. You went to call for help while Guy and I held up the enemy, Kakashi began. Yes, I do. I was really worried that I wouldn't be fast enough and that, by the time I could bring help, it would have been too late. But thankfully you two managed to survive, Rin finished the tale. Why do you bring that up? You remember that. If you do, you must be the real Rin, regardless of how much they modified your DNA. Because, what are we, if not the sum of our memories and experiences? And you clearly have the original Rin's memories, regardless if your body is the same one or a clone, Kakashi explained. Then he placed a hand on his former teammate. And in my eyes, that makes you the real Rin. Rin held Kakashi's hand on her shoulder, as she pondered her older friend's words. She let out a sad sigh. I wish it was just that easy, Kakashi, Rin replied, as she slowly removed Kakashi's hand. Anyway, is there anything else you want to know about me? No, that's all. Alright then. I think I'm going to take a nap, Rin said, before exiting the safe room, with Kakashi leaving as well shortly after. That's when an ink mouse came out of hiding, climbed inside the trash can, took the severed finger, and ran away back to its master. Tenten was alone resting in her cabin when somebody knocked the door. The brown-haired girl got up from her bed, and opened the door. She smiled upon seeing her boyfriend standing there. Oh, Haku. Hi. Tenten happily greeted. Hello, Tenten-chan. May I enter? Haku asked. Sure, she replied, moving aside to let him in. She immediately noticed that there was something wrong with the ice ninja. Haku, are you okay? You look tense. We need to talk, he said, not without difficulty. Tenten tensed up. Those 4 words usually signaled the end of a relationship. Worrying thoughts started to form in her mind. Did she do something wrong? Did Haku meet another girl, somebody from Kiri? However, her rational part decided to push them away and listen what her boyfriend had to say. "What's going on, Haku?" she asked. "You know that in case we manage to oust Yagura, Zabuza will remain in Kiri as the new captain of the Seven Swordsmen," Haku explained. Tenten nodded. "Yeah, I guessed so. How does it affect you? I told you how Zabuza-sama saved me from a certain doom, and in return, I became his faithful follower. That's why, if Zabuza-sama asks me to remain with him in Kiri, I will do so. Which means if that happens, we will have to break up," Haku finally said. "Wait, what?" Tenten asked, shocked. "Aren't you happy in Konoha?" "I am, but this doesn't have to do with me. I can't disobey Zabuza-sama," Haku regretfully told her. "Listen, you can be angry at me if you want. It was I who asked you to become my girlfriend, not realizing that this could happen, and for that, I will always be sorry. I will try to make it up for you, I promise." Tenten felt an hurricane of emotions forming between her. She wanted to shout, to cry, to yell, but once again, her rational part stood triumphant. She breathed deeply, before making her question. "Did Zabuza tell you that he wants you to continue with him?" Tenten asked. "No, I didn't ask him. But I'm telling you this, just in case," Haku replied. "Listen, Tenten, Konoha has been great, and you were the best part of that. But I swore I'd help Zabuza-sama help to realize his ambitions, so if he wants me to be by his side, I have to obey." "I see," Tenten replied. "Then if such thing happens I'll move to Kirigakure with you." This time, it was Haku's turn to be surprised. "What? But you can't do that." Tenten raised an eyebrow. "And why not, exactly? But what about your life in Konoha? Your friends? Your family?" Haku asked. "I can't ask you to leave all that behind just for me. First of all, I don't have a family. I don't even have a last name, remember?" Tenten asked. "And second, I will be doing the exact thing you're going to do, so I don't think you have the right to call me out on it." "Yes, precisely. Do you think it's easy for me not just to leave you behind, but my teammates, sensei and friends as well? I don't want you to go through that as well." Haku insisted. "Sorry, but that's not your decision to make," Tenten replied, as she moved to hold both of Haku's hands. "We will go through this together. We will be there for each other. There's nothing I can't tell you to make you change your mind, right?" Haku asked. "I'm a strong, independent woman who takes her own decisions." "So no," Tenten replied with a smirk. Haku couldn't help but a smile. "Thank you, Tenten-chan. You're a great person, whom I don't deserve." "Maybe you don't. Be thankful you're pretty cute," Tenten said as she leaned closer and kissed Haku in the lips. Speaking of Zabuza, the swordsman captain was sparring against the newest member of the Seven Swordsmen, Miyako Kiui, whom Mei had given the helmet splitter, with everybody else's approval. "Come on, put more strength into it," Zabuza told her as he pressed his attack. "I'm trying, damn it," Miyako replied, dodging Zabuza's fast swing. "The blunt sword is a weapon meant for an all-out offense. Stop dodging my attacks and attack me already," Zabuza insisted. "I would, if you let me some room to breathe," Miyako protested. "Oh, sorry princess. Guess that you also expect the enemy to have such a consideration with you," Zabuza angrily snarled, as he attacked with even more ferocity. "But this is just training," Miyako countered. "Training or not, there's no purpose without threat," Zabuza replied, as he continued his attack. "Enough," she yelled. Fueled by anger, Miyako nimbly dodged Zabuza's latest swing, and taking advantage of her opponent's slower movements, she dashed towards Zabuza, and tossed the hammer half of the weapon at him. Zabuza moved his sword aside, deflecting the flying hammer. Just as Miyako expected, as Zabuza was left momentarily wide open, and took the chance to sink the axe half into his chest. Zabuza then dissolved into a puddle of water. "Not bad, girl, not bad," the real Zabuza said from behind. "You're getting it. Maybe you'll be able to get some skill with the blunt sword by the time we invade Kirigakure." Miyako nodded and smiled in satisfaction. From a box above them, Mei and the rest of the swordsmen watched the display, just like they did when Zabuza was testing Amiri and Chojuro. "Do you think she's the right choice for the helmet splitter?" Amiri asked the Kage aspirant. "I believe she is. However, despite what Zabuza's saying, she won't be nowhere near as ready for the invasion," Mei replied. "Carrying one of the 7 swords will make her a target, and without the proper training to master it, that weapon will be like a bullseye painted on her back, rather than an asset. Pity. More swordsmen to our side would have been a boost to our troops' morale," Amiri lamented. "They know we do have a 4th sword, even if they won't see it." "We still have 3 swordsmen," Mei countered. She then looked at Chojuro. "That's it, if all of them are completely recovered from the prison break." "I am, Mei-sama," Chojuro replied, winding up his previously damaged arm to show that it was fine. "Like I said before, the Konoha medic Nin did a good job fixing it." "Good. Because we're risking pretty much everything on this attack, and I don't want any of my soldiers to be in less than perfect condition, much less one of my swordsmen," Mei sternly said. "Boy, I can't wait to get my hands on the remaining swords," Suigetsu commented. "Of the ones we can get, there's the sewing needle, and the splatter. I think I could master both, but I'll have to choose one." He then turned at Komori. "Which one do you prefer?" If Suigetsu was expecting to get an answer other than silence, he was about to get disappointed. Suigetsu unamusedly frowned. "You're an idiot, you know that?" Suigetsu said before stomping out of the room. "How long do you plan on doing that, Komori-san?" Mei asked. "As long as it's funny, Mei-sama," the cloaked man asked. Land of Water, mainland. A couple days later, the rebels abandoned the Kirigakure's Hope and established a hidden base within a forest near Kirigakure. Mei had sent messengers to her scattered forces, telling them to drop whatever they were doing and meet at the designated point. It was about time to gather all their forces and launch the invasion. Even if there was still some unrest caused by a combination of lack of activity and the impending invasion, pretty much everybody were glad to be outdoors rather than trapped inside that ship. And most people found ways to keep themselves distracted until the time of attack. One said person was Ino Yamanaka, who was looking for her best friend in order to talk for a bit, and maybe do some sparring. It has been a while since the last time she fought Sakura, and wanted to check which one of the two was stronger. However, she was starting to grow frustrated due to her lack of result. "Where is she?" Ino asked to no one in particular. You'd think somebody with bright pink hair would be easy to find. As she wandered around, somebody drew her attention. A pale-looking, black-haired boy sitting by himself, and drawing in a sketchbook. Ino then remembered a conversation he had with Sakura some days ago in the ship about some creepy guy that insulted her, and this guy matched the description. And both she and Sasuke, but mainly the latter, believed that this guy was up to no good. Pushed by curiosity, she decided to get to know the boy a bit better. "Hello there," Ino greeted with her usual charm. "Name's Ino. What are you doing?" The boy turned around and smiled at her. Ino could easily see it was a fake smile. "Hi, Blondie. My name is Sai. And as you can see, I'm drawing." Ino raised an eyebrow. "Blondie? An affectionate nickname. I read in a book that friends give each other nicknames," Sai explained, never dropping his smile. "But the last time I used it, I got a negative response. This time, I decided to use a more objective nickname, based on your hair color." Ino stared at him in disbelief. Where did this guy come from? It was certainly weird, and that constant, painfully fake smile wasn't helping. "Okay, you clearly didn't read that book right, or that book is complete bullshit," Ino said, shaking her head. While it's true that sometimes friends give each other nicknames, they do it when there's a lot of trust between them, not when you're meeting new people. In fact, calling a stranger by a nickname is something extremely rude to do. Sai's smile disappeared, and was replaced by an expression of mild surprise. It is? Yes, it is. It's considered insulting in most of the times. Just because somebody might allow a friend to call them by a nickname, even an unflattering one, it doesn't mean they'll extend the same courtesy to a stranger, Ino explained. I see. By the way you talk, you seem to be versed in the art of socializing, Sai replied. Ino's chest swelled in pride, taking his neutral observation as a compliment. I'm more than just versed, Sai. Then you'll know what to do in case you want to get close to somebody. All my attempts have been unsuccessful, despite following many books' advice to the letter, Sai told her. Okay, first of all, drop the nicknames. And that fake smile as well, it will make people think you're a shady guy. At best, Ino stated. Then, she remembered her conversation with Sakura and realized that this boy might be shady. Oh. That was the opposite of the impression I wanted to transmit, Sai replied. That's the opposite of the impression anybody wants to transmit, Ino said, rolling her eyes. Once I do that, what do I do next? Sai asked. If you want to make a good impression, asking people about themselves is a good way to let them know you care, Ino explained. For example, I saw that you like to draw, so if I wanted to get close to you, I'd ask you about it. Showing interest in other people's interest, Sai repeated. Yes, I think it sounds logical. But what if I don't know anything about them? Well, you ask them, of course, Ino replied, as if saying something obvious. But we're ninja, and we're supposed to conceal as much about ourselves as we can. If somebody else shares personal information, they're giving the enemy potential information to use against them, Sai explained. Ino groaned loudly. Where did this guy come from? Sai, I don't think that a hobby, or a particular interest in clothes, books, or movies can be used against somebody in any serious way. But then again, Ino did remember back in the academy how many girls did she shame because they wore clothes she thought were unfashionable. Oh well, those days were behind her now, and it was unlikely that young adults like themselves would fall into that. I see. And why can't I smile? People smile a lot, Sai pointed out. Yes, but it has to be a natural smile, not a forced one, Ino told him. And how do I make my smile natural? Sai asked. You really have issues, did anybody tell you that? Ino asked, weirded out. There was being socially awkward, and there was being this. But to answer your question, your smile will be genuine when it appears as the result of being happy. This sounds way more complicated than the book made it appear, Sai said, feeling a bit overwhelmed by this new information. It's easier than you think, you only need practice, Ino said, smiling. I will do that, then. I will follow your teachings from now onwards, Ino-sensei, Sai replied, smiling once again. Ino-sensei? Heh, I like the way it sounds, Ino chuckled. Meanwhile, not far away from there, Naruto, Hinata and Haku were happily chatting, when they noticed their sensei walking towards them. Walking alongside Kurenai was a brown-haired girl with purple markings on her cheek. A certain girl Haku remembered saving more than a year ago from Orochimaru's lair. Hey, Kurenai-sensei. Naruto said upon seeing her approaching. Hello there. I'd like you to meet a friend of mine. Rin, these are Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga, and Haku Yuki, whom you met already. Guys, this is Rin Noera, a former classmate and friend of mine, Kurenai introduced the girl. It's a pleasure to meet you, Rin said, making a slight bow. Hey, you're that girl that came back from the dead, right? Naruto pointed out, before Hinata nudged him in the ribs. What? Naruto-kun, be more tactful. That's not something she'd like to remember, Hinata gently chastised him. Oh, yeah. Sorry, he apologized with a sheepish grin. It's okay. I guess that's a part of me that's impossible to ignore, Rin replied with a light chuckle. Anyway, Naruto, I'd thought you'd be interested in meeting Rin, given that she used to be your biological father's student, alongside Kakashi and, regrettably, Obito Uchiha, Kurenai said. Really? Wow, that's so cool. You have to be super strong if you were trained by the fourth. Naruto gushed. Rin giggled sheepishly. Well, not as much. I filled more of a supporting role while Kakashi and Obito did the heavy lifting. Though I'm trying to change that now. There's nothing wrong with fitting a more supporting role. From what I heard, you're a medical nin, right? Keeping your teammates alive is something important as well, Hinata replied. Yeah. You have no idea how many times Hinataheim saved our skins. Naruto cheerfully added. Besides, I still have some catching up to do. Working at the hospital this year made me realize how much medical science has advanced. Besides, I don't think I can compete with a generation of medic nin trained by Tsunade-sama herself, Rin said, rubbing the back of her head. Hey, don't sell yourself short. You performed an eye transplant in the middle of a battlefield when you were 12. I'm sure you'll do fine, Kurenai encouraged her. From what I heard, you refused to rejoin Konoha's ranks when you returned to the village. What made you change your mind? Haku asked. It was Kirigakure who kidnapped me and started the chain of events that led to my death and Obito's downfall. And that memory made me terrified of being in a battleground again. However, I didn't want to be afraid all my life, and that I needed to face my demons. Hence I'm here. And if everything goes fine, I will ask Hokage-sama to formally rejoin the ninja ranks, Rin told them. While my case isn't exactly the same, I did lose a lot thanks to Kirigakure as well. In fact, I'm a native of the land of water, Haku stated. It might be too late for me, but I know I can help other children have a better childhood than mine. Yes, I hope that nobody else has to go through what I went through as well, Rin replied. Once this war is over, I might be able to finally move on. That's the spirit. You can't let such an insignificant thing like dying get in the way. Naruto cheered. Insignificant? Kurenai asked, mildly upset. Hey, she came back from it. If she did that, then why can't everybody else? Naruto asked. Kurenai merely sighed and shook her head. Rin simply giggled. You know, despite how much you look like Minato-sensei, I'd say personality-wise you are more like Kushina-san. She was really energetic and carefree, and saw the good side of everything and everyone, Rin said. Naruto-kun is just the same. Nothing can keep him down, not for long at least, Hinata replied. Are you two a couple? Rin asked, noticing the closeness between Naruto and Hinata. Upon receiving an affirmative nod from the two of them, she added, you know, the two of you kinda remind me of Minato-sensei and Kushina-san, if they swapped personalities, hee. What about you, Rin? Is there somebody special in your life? Naruto cheekily asked. Rin blushed a bit. Well, not now. I used to have a crush on Kakashi back in the day, but given my current state, I don't think there will be anything beyond friendship between the two of us. Not that I'm looking for a relationship right now. My very existence is still kind of a mess. I do think that a relationship would help you a bit with your issues. Help you back into the good things of life, Kurenai intervened. Besides, you're pretty cute. Lots of boys would love to date you. Before the conversation could continue, one of Mei's unofficial ANBU appeared before them, making his presence known immediately. Naruto Uzumaki, Mei-sama requires your presence, the ANBU stated in a cold and professional tone. She does? Oh well, better not to make her wait, Naruto said with a shrug as he accompanied the ANBU. Hinata and Haku noticed their sensei tensing up when the ANBU made his request. Kurenai-sensei? Everything okay? Hinata asked. I'd like to think that it is, but I'm not so sure, Kurenai uneasily replied. It seems that you know something we aren't aware of, Haku pointed out. Kurenai sighed, and nodded. I know why Mei wants to see Naruto. She's going to tell him about a special mission he has to do during the invasion. A special mission? Is it dangerous? Hinata asked, a bit worried. Kurenai nodded once again. Mei wants Naruto to help her take down the Mizukage in combat. Later that day, the sun was starting to set. Mei had ordered everybody to go to sleep early, since they would attack before dawn, and she wanted every one of her troops to be as rested as possible. So far, the only people not resting were the night watchers, who wouldn't take part in the attack for obvious reasons. After having so many meetings and planning the last details of the invasion, the Mizukage aspirant was beyond exhausted. Then again, she doubted she would be able to sleep, given that she had to face Yagura himself in combat. If she and Naruto failed, then the whole invasion would be for naught. Going to her private tent, Mei noticed that there was somebody else awake besides the sentries. The captain of her swordsmen, Zabuza Momochi, was sitting on the grass, at the edge of their camp, sharpening most of his weapons. Mei walked towards him. Shouldn't you be sleeping? The redhead asked. Zabuza stopped sharpening his kunai, turned his head to shot Mei a brief glare, before returning to his job at hand. I could ask the same thing to you, Zabuza retorted. The burden of leadership, was Mei's answer, before she decided to elaborate. I had to give the plan the last touches before we're good to go. I was going to get some sleep, but then I saw you here. You know, you're one of my strongest soldiers, and I want you to be in your top condition for tomorrow. I'll go to sleep when I feel I have to. I don't know the rest of your cronies, but I don't sleep on being ordered, Zabuza replied. Mei raised an eyebrow, before she sat down beside him. Your attitude is not something I approve. But your performance so far has met my expectations, so I think I'm going to let this insubordination slip. Zabuza grumbled something inaudible, and continued sharpening his weapons. He then stopped upon noticing that Mei was still there, sitting beside him. Their eyes met, and Mei shot him a friendly smile that left him completely unnerved. Well? Aren't you going to sleep? An annoyed Zabuza asked. I was, but I realized that we didn't have a chance to be acquainted with each other a bit better, and this is a good chance, don't you think so? Mei asked, in the same friendly tone. I agreed to fight for you and the rest of your naive, goody two-shoes followers, not to befriend you. So scram, Zabuza grumbled. Now, that's not a way to talk to your superior, Mei replied, using a tone a mother would employ on a misbehaving child. And naive goody two-shoes? Seriously? I'm telling things the way they are. You are a fool if you ever think that you and your merry friends will change anything, Zabuza replied. So far, we've been doing pretty good. What, you think Yagura and his forces are too much for us? Mei asked. You're not fighting a war against Yagura, but against reality itself. This world is a cold and merciless place, where only the strong survive. Trying to pretend otherwise is to delude yourself, Zabuza said. Mei frowned a little. Now I want to think is the blood mist that's actually talking, and not you. I know that deep down, you aren't like that. Even if you read my profile in the bingo book, you know much less about me than what you think, woman, Zabuza harshly replied. I know you better than you give me credit for, Zabuza-kun, Mei said as she shot him one of her irritating smiles. I'm not that much younger than you, we probably went through the same things. What I do know, though, is that beneath all your talk about the world being nothing but misery and death, and the only way to survive is being the top predator, there's a man that cares. You really think those Konoha tree huggers tainted me that much? That's insulting, Zabuza spat. Mei chuckled, and shook her head. No, I think that Konoha merely brought out your true self. For example, I know how you rescued and took care of that boy of the Yuki clan. An unempathic killer would have never done that. I only took Haku under my wing because of his unique abilities, not because I cared about his well-being. Do you have any idea how many other orphans I crossed paths with? Zabuza retorted. Many, I'm sure. But even if your reasons to take Haku were selfish, it doesn't take a genius to see that the years you spend together, both traveling and in Konoha, you developed a bond with the boy, not unlike how a father would see his son, Mei countered. That's the biggest, Zabuza tried to reply, but stopped. He wanted to say that Haku meant nothing to him, other than an useful underling. But for some reason, he couldn't. A battle of conflicting feelings started to take place inside of him, not for the first time. Zabuza's pride wanted him to admit that no, there was no kind of emotional attachment to the boy. He didn't want to be seen as a softie. But there was another part of him that tried to refute that, and wanted him to admit that yes, he did love Haku as if he was his son. His inner battle continued as he remained silent, something Mei took little time to notice. The redhead Kunoichi's smile widened. Did I hit a nerve, Zabuza-kun? Thought so. I know your parents were monsters, and raised you to be one. You were weak, and they despised weakness. That's why you did such a number on the academy, and swore to never be weak again. But here's a little thing that will give you some much-needed perspective: love isn't a weakness. Love is a source of strength, the biggest of them all. Because when you fight to protect somebody you care for, you're able to tap into a strength greater than any bloodline limit. Oh Kami, not you too, the masked man groaned. Why do you think I have so many followers? Because I'm strong? Well yes, I'd lie if I said my power played no part in helping me lead the rebellion, Mei admitted. But it only played a part. People don't want to live in a world of blood and fear, and will follow anybody that promises them something better. I like to think it's my conviction that plays the biggest role in making me a good leader. The fact that my ninja know that I'd die for any of them just like any of them would die for me. Zabuza glared at her in disgust. You sound exactly like those tree huggers. If Kiri under you is going to be like that, I might as well commit seppuku and save me the suffering. Mei let out a laugh at Zabuza's statement. Oh Zabuza-kun, you're so melodramatic, it's hilarious. Zabuza narrowed his eyes at her. Don't dare mock me. Then don't make it so easy, Mei replied with a shrug. But seriously, it's quite obvious that there's something that's upsetting you. Something about Haku, I might add. So you'd better sort that out before the battle begins. Zabuza inwardly sighed in relief when the rebel leader got up and walked to her private tent. However, rather than bring him relief, he felt even more uneasy than before. He wanted to shake off Mei's words about he and Haku, but found himself unable to. Haku, what I'm going to do with you? When Mei returned to her private tent, she saw that there was somebody in front of it, presumably waiting for her, Kurenai Yuhi. She clearly wanted to talk with her, probably about Naruto, and she was really not in the mood. Hello, Mei-san. I know it's late, but there's something I wish to talk with you, Kurenai told her. Mei let out a weary sigh. Listen, I know you're worried for Naruto, but you must understand you didn't even let me begin. And that wasn't what I wanted to talk about. Kurenai protested, silencing the rebel leader. Though yes, it's about Naruto. Here, take this. Kurenai handed Mei something. Mei saw they were several sealing tags she was unable to identify. What is this? Mei asked the red-eyed Jonin. If you plan to have Naruto fight Yagura, he will more than likely be forced to use the Nine Tails chakra. However, Naruto's control over the beast's power is very limited, and the demon may take control over him. That's why Hokage-sama created those tags. If such thing happens, slap one of them on him, and they will suppress the Nine Tails chakra. Mei studied the sealing tags in her hand, before nodding. Got it. I wished you told me about it earlier, but thanks. I'll keep what you told me in mind. You should also know that the tags aren't infallible. If Naruto has more than 4 tails worth of chakra, they won't work, so use them the moment he starts losing control, Kurenai told her. Again, thanks a lot for this. But now we should both go to sleep. Tomorrow we will have to face a daunting task. Akatsuki Hideout, unknown location. Inside a dark, underground cavernous chamber there was a massive, grotesque statue, composed by a huge head with 9 closed eyes and wide open mouth, and 2 arms separated from it. On each fingertip there was a shadowy figure, distorted and translucid, almost as if it was actually an spectral avatar rather than an actual person. Floating in front of the statue was a large man in a red-clad armor. There was a red-colored stream of energy coming from the man's mouth and flowing into the statues, as if it was draining the man's very soul. And even if it wasn't the case, the man would be dead once the process was complete, which happened in a few minutes. The flow of energy ceased, and the man's lifeless body fell to the ground. Then, one of the statue's closed eyes opened. The first-tailed beast has been successfully extracted and sealed into the statue, the leader of the group said. But this is nothing but the beginning. There are 8 other Jinchuriki that need to be captured and their beasts harvested. Regarding that, we have news that might be of interest, Zetsu's white half interceded. The Kirigakure rebels are going to invade the village. It's more than likely that they will try to kill Yagura. If that's the case, then we need to evacuate him as soon as possible. We can't afford letting any Jinchuriki die, the leader replied. Kirigakure, you say? I volunteer to go, then. It will be nice see how my former village is doing, a tall man with a sharp grin mentioned. You know Kirigakure the best out of us, Kisame, so I find your request acceptable. The leader then looked at a feminine-looking man whose hair was styled in a ponytail. Deidara, you'll accompany him for this mission. Your air support will be necessary for this mission to succeed. All right then. It would be a great chance to show my art to those mist wackos, Deidara replied, grinning widely. If nobody has anything else to say, then the meeting is over. We will gather again once the Jinchuriki of the 3 tails is safe and secure within our grasp, the leader declared. Then, all 10 figures vanished, and the statue disappeared in a puff of smoke. Omake number 1, Zabuza's not a very nice guest. After successfully bringing Tazuna to his home in the land of the waves, Zabuza was now staying at the brig builder's house, since his job wouldn't be done until the bridge was finished and completed. Thank you for protecting my father, Zabuza-san, Tsunade said, as she placed a cup of tea in front of the swordsman. You're helping this country immensely. Zabuza snorted, as he lowered his mask to drink the tea. Don't thank me. This is just a job, and I'll make sure it's finished. Yeah, sure. All will you make is getting all of us killed, new, high-pitched voice whined. Zabuza turned around, and saw a kid, no older than 10, glaring at him with his arms crossed. The hell did you say, brat? Zabuza snarled at the boy. Inari. Don't be so rude to Zabuza-san. He's going to protect all of us. Tsunade chided the kid. I'm sorry Zabuza-san, this whole situation affected my son way too much, and he doesn't feel that good. Why are you even trying? Nobody can oppose Gato. Everybody who does ends up dead. Inari insisted once again. Not only you will die, but you will get all of us killed too. Suddenly, the entire room was flooded by a vicious killing intent. It was mostly focused on Inari, but it was so intense, Tazuna and Tsunade could feel it as well. Inari felt an oppressive force gripping his heart, as he was invaded by a sense of dread unlike any other. Clutching his chest, he looked at Zabuza, who stared back at him with bloodshot eyes. For some reason, there was an aura around the swordsman that made him look inhuman, demonic even. Tell me, brat, Zabuza's voice sounded like he was death itself. Do you think Gato is worse than I am? Aha wahhhhhhhhhhh. Inari couldn't take it anymore, and ran upstairs while crying loudly, as tears of pure terror streamed down his cheeks. Zabuza dispelled the killing intent, and went to drink from his cup of tea. Your tea is excellent, Tsunade-san. Might I have another cup? Zabuza asked, while he realized the way Tazuna and Tsunade were glaring at him. What? What did I do? Oh, make number 2, Mei and Kurenai's meeting, alternate ending, hello, Mei-san. I know it's late, but there's something I wish to talk with you, Kurenai told her. Mei let out a weary sigh. Listen, I know you're worried for Naruto, but you must understand you didn't even let me begin. And that wasn't what I wanted to talk about. Kurenai protested, silencing the rebel leader. She then looked away, and blushed a little. There's something I need to take out of my chest. Listen, Mei-san, I like you. I like you a lot. The rebel leader was taken aback. You what? There, I said it. Sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable, but I couldn't take it anymore, Kurenai said as she started to leave. Kurenai, wait. Mei said, grabbing her hand. The truth is I like you too. Seriously? Kurenai asked. I thought I was only into men, but seeing such a radiant beauty as yourself, who's also a magnificent kunoichi, I feel that we're bound to be together. Oh, Mei-chan. Kurenai squealed, as the two women embraced and shared a kiss in their lips. Giggling, Mei grabbed Kurenai's hand, and the two of them headed towards the former's private tent, where they spend the night exploring each other's body, and opening themselves to a new world of beautiful feelings of carnal pleasure unlike any others. That would only be the beginning of their road together, Jiraya said, finishing writing the scene. Putting down the pencil, he looked at his latest work, and smiled. Boy, I outdid myself with this one. Ika Civil War will sell like crazy. Jiraya then frowned as he reread the scenes leading to that moment. I should better change Mei and Kurenai's names. I have the feeling that being Hokage won't deter them from trying to make me horrible things if they find out what I wrote about them, the Sannin decided, as he erased the kunoichi's names and replaced them with something else. After many preparations, today was it. The day the rebels would march over Kirigakure and liberate it from its bloodthirsty and more than likely manipulated Kage. While the morale was high, most of them were rather nervous. Assaulting a great village would fall under what was considered major warfare. The battle wouldn't be easy. As they approached, the mist became more and more dense. The Kiri ninja explained to their Konoha allies that they kept a permanent mist barrier surrounding the village for defensive purposes. But while said mist would hinder Konoha ninja, it would do little to stop other Kiri ninja. And after some time walking, they could see the village gates through the mist. Mei, heading the march, stopped and held one hand, and the rebel army stopped as well. Bring me our siege specialist, Mei commanded one of her ANBU. The masked ninja nodded and vanished. A minute later, he reappeared alongside Sasuke Uchiha. There's the gate, Sasuke-kun. You think you can take it down on your own? Mei asked, a bit skeptical. Sasuke glared at the rebel leader, his Sharingan flaring to life. Don't underestimate the Uchiha clan. Sasuke took a few steps forward, and got ready. He started to gather his chakra, as his normal Sharingan morphed into the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, and flinched when he was forced to relive the time he believed he had killed Naruto. Even if he knew the loudmouth blonde was alive, the anguish felt very real. He started to glow with a purple aura, as a purple, ghostly ribcage appeared around him. More bones started appearing as it formed the upper half of a giant humanoid skeleton, which was then covered in flesh, and then in armor. The chakra construct raised its left arm, and a bow was generated on its wrist. Pulling the string with the other arm, a huge arrow covered in black flames was generated. Infernal release, Susanoo Black Fire Bolt. Sasuke released the arrow, which pierced the gate with such force it tore it off of its hinges, leaving a wide entrance for the rebels to get into the city. His job done, Sasuke dispelled the chakra construct and fell on his knees, panting heavily. His teammates quickly rushed to check him. Sasuke-kun, are you okay? Shizun asked. Do you need healing? Sasuke shook his head and got back on his feet again. No, I'm okay. Using Susanoo is very taxing, but I will be fine in a couple minutes. Even then, try to take it easy, Shizun advised. After seeing Sasuke's attack, Mei was a bit stunned at such display of power. Wow, and here I thought he was exaggerating. Worth every Ryo indeed. She then turned to her troops. The gates are down. Everybody move out. Kirigakure is ours for the taking. Today, the world will see the end of the blood mist, she yelled as she charged forwards. Her words were replied by a loud chorus of war cries as the rest of the rebels rushed into the village behind their leader. Meanwhile, as the bulk of the army rushed into the city, two lone figures hidden nearby cautiously watched. So, how long until they notice that's a clone? Naruto asked his partner. As opposed to her usual elegant blue dress, the Mizukage candidate was wearing the Kirigakure Anbu uniform, with a Hapuri-shaped Kirigakure forehead protector instead of a white and red mask, but with the standard sword, even if Mei's skill with such weapon was less than 0. Her extremely long hair was now tied into a more manageable braid that fell down her back. My earth clones are very durable, can last days if undamaged, and can even use some jutsu of moderate intensity. How about you, are you ready? Mei asked. Before taking one last glance at the two clones sitting in the lotus position, Naruto gave Mei a thumbs up as well as a confident grin. Shouldn't you activate your Sage mode already? Remember that we're going to face a Kage who happens to be a perfect Jinchuriki, Mei reminded him. But Sage mode is active. Naruto told her. Mei raised an eyebrow. That's it? Some yellow eyes and orange eyeshadow? When you told me about it you made it sounded far more impressive. It might not look much on the outside now, but once you see what can I do in Sage mode, you'll change your mind, Naruto told her. I'll take your word for it. Now come on, let's see if we can get into the Mizukage's palace without drawing much attention, Mei replied as she and Naruto sneaked into the village. Mizukage's palace. Oblivious to the chaos that was about to be unleashed on his village, Yagura was in his office, doing the paperwork his job usually entailed. He thought it would be a day like any other, when the doors of his office were burst open. A kunoichi with short blonde hair entered the room, flanked by two Anbu. She looked rather shaken. Yagura, the rebels are here. They took down the gates as if they were nothing, and are pouring into the village, the woman almost screamed. Yagura calmly stopped doing paperwork, got up from his chair, and fixed a stare on the woman. Calm down, Aiko-chan. You're a ninja, please behave like one. When did the attack happen? About 5 minutes ago. What are your orders? She asked, still visibly restless. Yagura let out a sigh. So, Mei finally made her move. She came sooner than I expected. Tell me, Aiko-chan, was she spotted among the invaders? Yes, she was spearheading them. What about it? Aiko replied. Then this attack is just a distraction. According to the messages we got from the Crimson Citadel, they managed to break in by sending a team of infiltrators in order to open the dock gates. I believe she will try the same trick. Send half our forces to meet them, and send reinforcements to the dock. I wouldn't discard infiltrators working to neutralize the defenses of our docks as we speak, Yagura told her. Aiko appeared a bit more calmed now, though she was still uneasy. What if the rebels won't attack the docks? Then moving our troops from the docks to wherever they're needed won't be hard. It's a small village after all. Just in case, I'll activate the chakra golems. But truth be told, the fight for the village is worthless, Yagura cryptically said. What do you mean? Aiko replied. Mei will use the ongoing battle as a cover to sneak a team of assassins into the palace and murder me. Knowing her, she'll lead the group herself. All we have to do is wait for her here, and kill her. With their leader dead, the rebellion will be easy to dismantle, Yagura explained. Sounds risky, but looks like our best bet. But first, I need to make sure Dagura is safe, Aiko replied. Do not worry for our son. The rebels aren't after him. Besides, he's also a ninja. The battleground is where he needs to be, Yagura chided his wife. Aiko bit her lip. But okay, yes, you're right. Besides, I'm going to need you here when that red-headed whore and her assassins arrive, Yagura told her. The initial onslaught managed to push the first wave of Kirigakure defenders with relative ease. However, as it happened during the assault on the Crimson Citadel, the moment the rebel forces started to spread out, their advance was considerably slowed down as the ensuing battles became more even for both sides. Zabuza had asked Mei to be assigned to the same group as Haku, so the two of them could fight this battle together. Here I am, again, trying to take over Kirigakure, even if I won't be the next Mizukage if we succeed, Zabuza thought, as he brutally fought the opposition. Though even then, I'll be closer to being Mizukage than I've ever been. Plus this time, it seems that I will be on the winning side. Haku was not only fighting for the man who had given him a second chance at life, but for himself as well. It was thanks to Kirigakure and Yagura that he lost his family, and people with bloodline limits were seen in the land of water as monsters to hunt down. Besides helping Zabuza achieve his ambitions, he was also making sure no other child like him would have to go through the same thing he did. Ice Release, Ice Dragon Crystal Blast. Haku conjured a dragon made of ice from his hands, which flew towards a cluster of red-clad Kirigakure ninja, dashing towards them. The dragon crashed against the group, shattering in a multitude of razor-sharp ice shards that flew in all directions. They have an ice release user. I thought all of them were killed. A Kirigakure defender shouted in disbelief. Not all of them, obviously. Anyway, let's finish the job ourselves, another ninja replied. Yes, I'm the last of the Yuki clan. But you're truly foolish if you believe that my clan will disappear today, Haku coldly replied as he made several hand seals. Ice Release, Piercing Icicle Shot. This time, Haku made a rather large spear made of ice, which flew at the group of ninjas. However, this time he wouldn't catch them off guard, since one of them was making hand seals. Earth Release, Earth-Style Wall. The Kiri defender slammed his palms into the ground, raising a thick stone wall that blocked the ice jutsu. They can use Earth Release, which can counter my jutsu, Haku said to nobody in particular. He then looked at Hinata, who was dispatching another Kiri ninja. Hinata-san, think you can crack that wall? After she was done, Hinata looked back at Haku and smiled. Leave that to me. The young Hyuga's hands flew through hand seals, before casting both hands forward. Lightning Release, Thunder Fang. Hinata's hands crackled with electricity as she released a mass of lightning from them. The shapeless mass soon took the form of a giant lion head. The lightning lion opened its mouth, letting out a metallic-sounding roar before crashing against the wall, blowing it up to pieces. Taking advantage of the opening, Zabuza dashed towards the cluster of enemies and started to engage them all at once. Despite the numerical advantage, they were having a hard time keeping up with the demon of the hidden mist. The hell? Zabuza's back, a Kiri ninja shouted. Indeed I am. I came here to finish what I started so many years ago. Now you can do the smart thing and run with your lives, or die pointlessly against me. I personally find the second option more amusing, Zabuza coolly told them. You traitorous bastard. You don't deserve that dash, a Kiri ninja was about to say, but he was interrupted when something happened. Suddenly, circular ceiling patterns started to appear across the village. The rebels have already seen this once, they knew what was going to happen. Everybody, get ready. Here they come. Kurenai shouted. And as expected, after a brief burst of smoke, large chakra golems were summoned by the ceiling patterns. The machines instantly activated with a metallic hum, and they quickly began to search for the invaders and end their lives. These golems are probably bound to the Mizukage. Hopefully Naruto and Mei will finish their mission before we suffer too many losses, Kurenai hoped as she prepared to fight an incoming golem. Not far from there, Naruto and Mei were moving through the village as silently as possible. Naruto felt the need to join his fellow Konoha ninja in the battlefield, especially those who were having a hard time against the golems, but in deep down he knew doing so would endanger more lives than it would save them. "How long until we reach the palace?" an impatient Naruto asked. "I think we're halfway there. If we keep this pace, it shouldn't take us more than half an hour to get there." Mei replied. "I see. In that case Naruto then stopped and perked up. "I think somebody saw us. I'm sensing a group of 4 ninja getting closer. All of them Jonin level." Mei raised an eyebrow. "You didn't tell me you were also a sensor." "Normally I'm not, but Sage Mode also gives its user sensing abilities," Naruto explained. "Should we hide?" "No. They know we're here. Better take them out now than let them warn Yagura that we're going after him," Mei replied. Then again, she knew Yagura would be expecting her and would prepare accordingly. And here they come. And just like Naruto said, 4 red-clad ninja landed in front of them and unsheathed their katanas at once. Judging by their uniforms and older faces, it was easy to tell they were Jonin even if Naruto wasn't there to gauge their power. "Mei Terumi. What's a pretty traitor like you doing here, accompanied by a Konoha child?" one of the Jonin asked, a tall muscular man with short brown hair. "Yagura said he wanted you alive," another one said, this one being slimmer, with black hair tied in a slipknot. "But he also said that he'll understand if you have to die. Which means we don't have to hold back," a third one, a burly man with a large nose and a soul patch, said in delight as he charged towards the duo. "Die." Naruto met the man's charge with one of his own, and sank his fist on the man's gut, much to his disbelief. "How?" he babbled. Naruto smirked, and delivered a punch with his other arm, sending the Kiri ninja flying into the horizon, much to everybody's amazement. "Kyoko," the black-haired Kiri ninja cried. How that kid was able to do that? Such strength, the 4th ninja, a younger man with light blue hair stammered. "Snap out of it, you cowards," the muscular man yelled, as he made hand seals. "And don't let your guard down. Earth release, mountain hammer." The muscular ninja put a gigantic hammer made of stone from the ground and swung it at Naruto from above. The blonde sage merely raised a hand, which was enough to block the strike. The hammer's wielder was left speechless. "Impossible. Sorry, that word isn't in my vocabulary," Naruto casually said as he snatched the hammer from his hands and swung it at the muscular ninja, sending him flying against a building. "That boy's too strong. Fall back." The other 2 ninja attempted to flee, but they found that Mei was cutting their escape. You don't plan to leave without letting me have my share of fun, right?" Mei cooed as she made several hand seals. Water release, all-devouring maelstrom. The 2 remaining Kiri ninja found themselves inside a violent water tornado which sent them flying in different directions. "Good job," Naruto told her. "You too." "You were right, Sage Mode is way more impressive than it looks at first glance," Mei admitted. Naruto couldn't help but smirk. "Trust me, you haven't seen anything yet." "In that case, we better get going." "I'd hate to keep Yagura waiting," Mei replied. Naruto nodded, and the 2 of them headed towards the now visible Mizukage Palace. Shadow Imitation Jutsu. Shikamaru's shadow successfully trapped 2 chakra golems, freezing them on the spot. But the mechanical monster's strength put a strain on the Nara, who struggled to keep them contained. "Come on Choji. It won't last much longer," Shikamaru urged. Choji rushed towards the golems, and clapped his hands together. Partial multi-size jutsu. Choji's arms swelled up, tripling in size. The Akimichi clan heir smashed one of the trapped golems with a powerful punch before smashing the remaining one to bits. Shikamaru was allowed to cancel his family's signature jutsu and fell on his butt, panting. "I don't think I'll be able to do that too many times," the lazy Nara complained. "Shikamaru, watch out!" Ino called out. Suddenly, 2 Kiri Anbu were leaping at Shikamaru, their katanas unsheathed. The Nara quickly got up and pulled out 2 kunai in a hopeless attempt to parry the 2 incoming strikes, but fortunately for him, something else took care of that. In less than a second, a red-headed woman stood between him and his attackers, parrying their blows with her own swords, resulting in a loud clang. The woman, Amuri, struggled against the attackers in a double-blade lock. "God damn it, Pineapple Head, get your head out of the clouds," Amuri complained, before the 2 red-clad Kiri ninja overwhelmed her and pushed her back. "Troublesome woman. I'd like to see you trying to take on those golems," Shikamaru murmured. "More enemies incoming," Ino warned. And true to her words, a batch of Kiri defenders arrived the scene. Some unsheathed their swords, while others made several hand seals. "We'll take care of them. Shikamaru, Choji, with me," Asuma said as he started to make hand seals of his own. Fire release, ash pile burning. The youngest son of the 3rd Hokage spewed a cloud of gunpowder from his mouth, while Shikamaru and Choji prepared another jutsu. Fire release, great flame jutsu. Both Shikamaru and Choji expelled a large stream of flames from their mouth directly into the cloud of gunpowder, igniting it instantly, resulting in a massive explosion that shielded them from the barrage of water jutsu aimed at them. "Good work, but we need to URK." Suddenly, what appeared to be a gigantic needle with ninja wire attached to it came out of the ensuing cloud of smoke, impaling Asuma through the shoulder. Somebody pulled the wire backwards, making the sword to fly back as well. An extremely tall and lanky man wearing an ANBU mask flew out of the cloud, caught the sword needle and fast as lightning, wrapped Asuma in ninja wire, leaving him completely immobilized. "Asuma-sensei!" Shikamaru cried. "You must have a death wish coming here," the masked man said in a cold tone as he raised his strange weapon above Asuma. "Let me grant you that wish then." However, before he had the chance to kill Tactical Squad Sensei, a pair of spinning swords coated in electricity flew at him. "Shit," the man cursed as he jumped back in order to avoid the swords, thus being forced to release Asuma. Upon missing their mark, the swords returned to Amuri's hands. "Leave that man alone, Kushimaru. It's me whom you have to fight," Amuri declared, as she took a step forward. "You know him?" Ino asked. Amuri nodded. "Kushimaru Courier. ANBU captain, and one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. The 2 remaining ones still loyal to Yagura. So that giant needle is one of the 7 swords then?" Ino asked again. "It might not look like much, but in the hands of an expert, it's a deadly weapon. And I'm afraid Kushimaru more than qualifies as an expert," Amuri explained. "Yeah, you got that right. And if you think I'm going to lower myself into a duel with you, then you're even crazier than your traitorous friends. Just because you have Raiga's swords doesn't mean you're part of the 7, little girl," Kushimaru retorted. Amuri's face contorted with rage. "Little girl. I'm 18, you asshole. That's it, you're going down. I have no time to deal with brats with delusions of grandeur. Everybody, kill that girl, and take back the swords." Kushimaru ordered his men. A chorus of, "Yes, sir," replied to the masked swordsman's order. "Medic," an injured Kiri rebel cried in anguish. "Incoming. Sasuke-kun, cover us," Sakura called. "You've got it," Sasuke coolly replied as his hands flew through hand seals. Fire release, great fireball jutsu. Sasuke poured as much chakra as he could into the attack, and expelled a massive fireball towards the group of red-clad Kiri ninja. Unfortunately, a golem blocked the attack, and absorbed it into its body. "Those walking pieces of scrap are going to be trouble," Sasuke grumbled. "Not so boastful anymore, I see," Suigetsu chuckled, as he casually engaged an enemy ninja. "Those things are hard to take down. And I didn't see you defeat one either," Sasuke snapped back. "Sakura would be able to bring them down in one punch, but she's busy tending the injured." "Sakura's not the only one able to do that. Karen protested, as she rushed forward while making a hand seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 5 Karen clones popped into existence besides the original, and ran towards the golem in a tight formation. I'd like to see Sakura doing this. 6 Fists of Fury. Karen and her 5 clones leaped at a golem, their fists reared back, and wreathed in an intense, fire-like glow. The 6 punches connected, instantly shattering the mechanical construct. The original Karen wiped her hands, and her mouth curved into a confident grin, not unlike certain blonde. Ha! What about Dash? But Karen's gloats were interrupted by a chain of massive explosions engulfing her, that shook the ground and sent burst of winds into every direction. Karen, multiple Konoha ninja cried, her teammates among the loudest. But when the smoke dispelled, all what was left were the charred remains of a log. Phew, that was a close one. Better not get distracted like that, the real Karen said, panting heavily, as she walked towards Sasuke and Suigetsu. Did you see where the explosions came from? I'm almost sure they came from that guy, Suigetsu said, pointing out to the direction of the explosion. Flanked by multiple red-clad Kiri ninja, there was a man wearing a loose, pin-stripped light brown shirt, black pants and stripped leg warmers. He had a brown beard tied into 2 braids, thick lips, and one of his eyes was covered by an eye patch. He was carrying a rather weird-looking sword. Damn, it's been a while since somebody managed to avoid my explosion jutsu. Just for that, I'll make sure your death is extra painful, girl, the weird man threatened. He then looked at the white-haired boy near her, and the one-eyed man smiled wickedly. Suigetsu. Wasn't expecting to see you again. Still on the losing side, as I can see. Who's this man? Sasuke asked, as he cautiously eyed the new enemy. A swordsman of the mist? Yes, he's Jinpachi Munashi, wielder of the splatter. His sword is also a scroll of self-replicating explosive tags. With it, he can create an infinite number of explosions, Suigetsu explained, before he fixed his eyes on the swordsman, and snarled. Shut your trap, Jinpachi. I am where I have to be. Really? Because somebody like you would fit better with us in the blood mist, than with that deluded woman. I mean, I can understand Zabuza siding with her being an even earlier traitor, but you? There's nothing that you love most than the smell of blood impregnating the air, Jinin replied. And you think I'll join the side that killed my brother? Suigetsu incredulously asked. Jinpachi merely shrugged. Hey, he got it coming. He thought that being the best swordsman who ever lived gave him free rein to do what he pleased. We simply proved him wrong, Jinpachi then frowned. And it seems that you're going to follow his footsteps to an early grave. You think so? Let's see who's going to whose funeral, the young swordsman shouted as he charged forward. Suigetsu, wait. Another Kiri ninja called, to no avail. Jinpachi's smirk widened as he adopted a fighting stance. Blast's word ninja art, exploding piledriver. Jinpachi slammed his sword into the ground, creating a line of explosions towards Suigetsu. The explosions caught the white-haired boy, who was launched backwards before slamming back into the ground. Or at least, what was left of him. Oh Kami, that explosion liquefied him. Karen screamed in a mix of horror and disgust. I am not dead. Suigetsu exclaimed as his head reformed from the liquid. The rest of his body started to reform as well. It takes more than that to take me out. Oh, I have more than that, trust me. Yet I know that the moment you lack the chakra to sustain your hydrification jutsu, you'll be as good as dead, Jinpachi laughed. Looking around, he noticed 2 chakra golems walking closer, and an idea formed on his mind. In fact, let's test how strong is that ability. Golems, focus on Suigetsu. While they didn't make any kind of acknowledgement, the golems started to walk towards the white-haired swordsman, now fully reformed, who instinctively took a couple steps backwards. Man, this ain't look good, Suigetsu whimpered. The golems then raised their respective arms with wrist-mounted cannons, and released 2 streams of fire at the Hozuki younger brother. "It looks worse than bad," Suigetsu yelled as he tried to avoid the streams of fire aimed at him. Karen took a step forward, and made a hand seal. Adamantine sealing chains. Chains made of pure chakra shot from Karen's back, and wrapped themselves around one of the golems, immobilizing it. The chakra-absorbing seal started to flicker, but they did not activate. "Whoa, it's not absorbing your jutsu? What gives?" Suigetsu asked. "These chains are able to bind the chakra of those wrapped around them, even mechanical monsters like these ones," Karen explained, as she struggled to keep the golem in check. "Now go and deal with the other." Suigetsu didn't have to be told twice, as the other mechanical construct stomped at him. It raised its arm cannon once again. "Oh no, you won't." Suigetsu raised an arm as well and a huge water sphere started to form. Water release, water missile. Suigetsu fired the water blast, which collided against the stream of fire, resulting in an explosion of steam. Before the golem had any time to react, Suigetsu was already leaping at it, his fist reared back. "Take this, you walking piece of scrap." Water release, great water arm jutsu. Suigetsu's right arm swelled up, becoming unnaturally large and muscular, and used it to deliver a devastating punch to the golem, which broke apart upon absorbing the impact. The golem done for, Suigetsu's arm returned to normal, and the boy started to pant heavily. "Aw man, this is going to hurt a lot tomorrow," Suigetsu complained. That was so gross," Karen mentioned as she used her super strength to tear the golem to pieces with her chains. Suigetsu looked at Karen and shot her a devious smirk. "Yeah, you say that, but deep down I know you only say it to mask how badly you want this body," Suigetsu said as he made a pose. "I have a boyfriend," Karen protested. "And stop being a creep, we have a battle to win, you moron. Are all Konoha girls this bitchy, or just you?" Suigetsu asked as he shrugged. While Karen and Suigetsu argued as they faced more enemy Kiri ninja, Sasuke decided to face Jinpachi, after identifying him as the bigger threat. Something Jinpachi himself took no time to notice. "So, what's with you, pretty guy? Think you can take me on?" Jinpachi asked in a mocking tone. Sasuke's Sharingan flared to life as he fixed a glare on the Kiri swordsman. "It would be possible. It all depends on how much of your power comes from your sword, and how much comes from you." "An Uchiha, I see," Jinpachi said, noticing the Sharingan. "I've always wanted to fight one of you, but your clan being wiped out made that rather improbable. Yet here you are. Fate seems to be smiling upon me today." Sasuke frowned, as he tightly gripped the handle of his katana. "Let's see if you think your fate favors you after you got to fight me. You seem to be pretty confident in your ability. Typical of your clan. That's why you guys thought you could pull a coup d'état in your village, yet look at what happened," Jinpachi replied in a mocking tone. "And trust me, the result is going to be the same here." In the past, Sasuke would have let out a savage cry and mindlessly charge at the one-eyed swordsman for bringing up such a sore and sensitive topic. But after the Chunin exams incident, Shizune and Shisui pretty much forced him to learn how to keep his anger in check and not be carried away by it. So this time, Sasuke merely deepened his frown. "Did I touch a nerve?" "Bohoho." Jinpachi replied in a mock-childish tone, before he smirked wickedly. "When I kill you, I'll gouge out your eyes. But I won't use them to replace my missing eye, or even sell them. No, I'll keep them in a jar, and will be displayed as a trophy. How does that sound? You assume you can take my eyes?" Sasuke replied as he charged forward, tired of exchanging words with the bearded swordsman. Fire release, burning edge. Sasuke's blade was wreathed in flames. Jinpachi chuckled upon seeing it. "Not bad. But nowhere near enough to help you," Jinpachi said as he prepared to attack. Blast Sword Ninja Art, Exploding Piledriver. Jinpachi slammed his sword forward, creating a line of explosions. Sasuke already guessed he would do that, given it was what he did when Suigetsu charged at him. However, Sasuke was ready, and used a couple of body flickers to dodge the line of explosions, and appeared behind him. He had noticed that, while powerful, Jinpachi was vulnerable the seconds after he attacked, and that's when Sasuke would deliver the killing blow. Got you. Sasuke thought as he sunk his fire sword into Jinpachi's unprotected back. However, Jinpachi then did something that Sasuke wasn't expecting. He exploded. His Sharingan noticed less than a second before his body detonated what was going to happen, which allowed him to reinforce his whole body with chakra in order to survive the explosion, but even then, the explosion did a lot of damage, as he was violently flung against a wall. Didn't your Sharingan catch that, pretty boy? Jinpachi asked in the same mocking tone, as he was standing in the roof of a nearby one-story house. You've been fighting an exploding clone all this time. As you can see, my mastery of explosives goes beyond the splatter. Now let's end this already. Blast Sword Ninja Art, Bombardment Wave. Jinpachi delivered a wide swing, releasing a multitude of explosive notes at Sasuke, which flew at him at a much faster speed than they should despite being made of paper. The Uchiha wasted no time and made several hand seals. Fire Release, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Sasuke expelled a multitude of fireballs, that he directed towards the incoming explosive notes. The two attacks collided, creating a multitude of explosions, which resulted in a rather large cloud of smoke forming between the two. Not bad, Uchiha, not bad. But once again, not good enough. Jinpachi chuckled behind the wall of smoke. I'm getting tired of his explosions, Sasuke grumbled, as he thought of a way to counter them. He was tempted to activate his Burning Man, but realized that being covered in fire when fighting a guy that uses explosions wasn't the most sound of strategies. He also refused to use the Mangekyo Sharingan a second time. Not just because of the mental and physical strain, but just like Itachi had challenged him, he wanted to see how far he could go before he was forced to rely on such a power. No time to sleep. Jinpachi yelled as he jumped out of the cloud of smoke. He swung his sword once again. Blast Sword Ninja Art, Blasting Bridle Repeating Death. The explosive scroll unraveled, and surrounded Sasuke in a wide area around him, cutting off any escape route. He doubted he could activate Susanoo in time in order to avoid an untimely end. Now die already. However, before the chain of explosions could reduce him to ashes, Sasuke felt a familiar chain wrapping around his body and pulling him up, saving him from the ring of explosions. When his feet touched the floor again, he was in a roof of a nearby building, surrounded by his team, and a bunch of Kiri ninja. Good one, Karen. That was a close one, Shizen complimented the redhead. Sasuke-kun, are you okay? Sakura asked and started to heal Sasuke before he could reply. You thought you could take Jinpachi on? You crazy bastard, Suigetsu chuckled, shaking his head. Well, that's exactly what you tried to do not long ago. Karen fired back on Sasuke's behalf. So you're not the best one to talk. Regardless of that, Suigetsu isn't entirely wrong. Trying to fight a much experienced ninja without proper intel on his abilities was foolish, Sasuke-kun, Shizen stated in a mildly chastising tone. I know, Sasuke begrudgingly admitted. Then again, you must have learned something about that guy, right? Sakura inquired. He has a sword that can produce infinite explosive tags that he can use in a variety of ways. However, his power isn't limited to that sword either, as it has several explosive jutsu of his own, Sasuke explained. While his offensive power is formidable, I find his defenses lacking, since he's left wide open whenever he attacks. I tried to exploit that, but I was unsuccessful. Maybe not on your own, but together we can bring that man down, Shizen told him. Alright, listen everybody, this is the plan. Alright, this zone it's clear. We should move to the next, Kurenai stated, as she saw the few defenders left falling back. It's not. Hinata quickly replied. I'm seeing reinforcements coming this way. Let them come, and I shall reward their bravery with a swift death, Zabuza said as he held his executioner's blade in front of his eyes. Any golems with them? Kurenai asked. Hinata shook her head. Thankfully none. Good. This should make things a bit easier, Kurenai said, a bit relieved. But that relief didn't last long when the defenders' reinforcements arrived, and the attackers found themselves once again outnumbered. Leading the group of regular ninja and ANBU, there was a young man with dull brown hair and, oddly enough, bright pink eyes. You managed to reach deep into our village, invaders, but you won't advance any further, the commander claimed in an almost theatrical tone as he pulled out a pair of sais. As long as I, Dagura Karatachi, son of the 4th Mizukage, is here to stop you. Dagura's men cheered in unison at his short but inspiring boast. Attack, he ordered. Everybody, meet them on. Send them to hell. Zabuza ordered his own troops. I'll take on his leader. Zabuza then felt a hand touching his shoulder. Turning around, he saw it was Haku. Actually, I'd wish if you let me fight Dagura-san, instead, Haku suggested. This is no time for games, Haku. Dagura is the Mizukage's son. If we capture him alive, we will have a valuable hostage that might help us make Yagura surrender, Zabuza explained. I know that, but this is something I need to do, Haku insisted. Don't worry, I won't kill him. Besides, you trained me, Zabuza-sama. That should be enough. Zabuza couldn't help but smirk under his mask. Using my pride against me? That's low. And something I'd approve. Now go, but be careful. I'm sure that guy's a jonin. Haku smiled in return. Don't worry, Zabuza-sama, everything will turn out fine. The ice ninja headed towards the enemy commander, Yagura's son, who was fighting a random Kiri rebel. Haku made a couple of hand seals. Ice release, 1,000 needles of death. Haku formed multiple ice needles from the air's moisture, and flew at Dagura. The whistle they made as they moved alerted the Mizukage's son, who noticed the incoming attack, disengaged the opponent he was fighting, and expertly parried all the projectiles with his sais as he jumped back. Haku then jumped in front of him. Hello, Dagura-san. My name is Haku Yuki, and I will be your opponent, Haku said in an overly polite tone. I don't care who you are. You're just another rebel that needs to be put down. Dagura replied as he made several hand seals. Winged Nightmare Jutsu. Motioning his hands forward, Dagura released a massive flock of bats that flew at Haku, making disgusting chirping noises. Though the ice ninja was far from its only target, as the bats also attacked nearby Konoha and Kiri rebels. Not letting the bats distract him, Haku prepared his counterattack. Ice release, certain kill ice spears. Haku unleashed a multitude of long and sharp ice spikes from his body, impaling most the bats, which poofed into tiny clouds of smoke, which were attacking him. This drew Dagura's attention. An ice release user. Interesting, I thought all of you had been wiped out, Dagura observed. I do get that a lot. Not to my pleasure, might I add, Haku replied. And do you know why I'm the last of my kind? Like I said before, I don't care, Dagura dismissed as he prepared to attack again. Too bad, because you're going to hear it anyway, Haku cut him off, as he continued talking. Because of your father's policies and way to run Kirigakure. Thanks to the blood mist, ninjas are seen as little more than bloodthirsty murderers and barbarians in the eyes of the citizens of the Land of Water, as well as the rest of the elemental nations. So what? We never cared what other villages think about us. Kirigakure was on its dead bed after the Third War, and my father renewed its strength. Dagura replied. You should care, given that this invasion is a direct product of your barbaric practices, Haku replied. And do you know what else was a direct product of your father's ruling? The bloodline purges. Ninja are heavily feared and distrusted among the common people, and those with bloodline limits even more. That's why my mother was killed by the same people she called friends and family, with me barely surviving. And you think that your family's loss was my father's fault somehow? Ha! Dagura replied, making more hand seals again. Soundwave Jutsu. Ice release, ice barrier. Haku slammed his hands into the ground, erecting an ice wall between himself and his current enemy. While the sound waves shattered it, the jutsu used all of its power to take it down, leaving Haku unharmed. My family was far from the only one which was lost to the madness your father is perpetuating. That's why he needs to be removed from power, one way or another, Haku calmly said. Lies. All you want to do is depose my father so you can rule Kirigakure yourselves. And I'd die before seeing it in the control of traitors and their Konoha scum allies. Dagura then cut the palm of his hand, and made several hand seals, before slamming them on the ground. Summoning Jutsu. After the initial smoke explosion, Haku saw that Dagura was now riding a gigantic bat, almost as big as Sasuke's hawk summons. You shall not destroy what my family has fought so hard to build. Dagura declared. Haku let out a defeated sigh. Guess there's no way to convince you of your wrong ways. In that case, I won't hold back anymore, Haku ominously said as he made a hand seal. Suddenly, a burst of icy winds came from his body, as he was surrounded by a blue and white aura that sparkled with the rays of sunlight. The ground around him started to freeze at a fast pace. Ice release, walking winter. Longsword ninja art, wire crucifixion. Kushimaru's tactic was a wicked one. He'd trap everybody with his jutsu involving the sewing needle and ninja wire, while his troops stopped anybody who attempted to cut the wire in order to release their allies. And the monsters leaving them alive, just to savor their suffering. He won't even give them an honorable death, Amuri thought in disgust. Alright, time to end this nonsense. Thundersword ninja art, Eye of the Storm. Amuri crossed her swords in front of her face in an X, producing a white electric flash. The red-headed kunoichi began to rapidly spin with her arms spread forward, turning into a deadly electrical spinning top. Several enemy ninja tried to stop her. Water release, water gun. Multiple water projectiles flew at her. However, Amuri managed to dodge them without stopping her spinning. She was aware that she was left wide open when using that jutsu, that's why she developed a way to dodge attacks even if she was spinning. And while most enemies managed to avoid her deadly slashes, her true target, the ninja wire, did not. When several of the wires were cut, most of Kushimaru's victims were released. Bring some medics here, now. Amuri ordered. So far, Ino was one of the very few medics supporting that division, and right now, she was busy healing Asuma's shoulder wound. Are you feeling better, Asuma-sensei? Ino asked, just as she finished healing the wound. Yes. I don't think the pain will go away completely for the time being, but I think I can fight, Asuma said as he stood up. We need to take out that swordsman. With their commander gone, dealing with the rest shouldn't be hard, Shikamaru suggested. Easier said than done. Any plan, Shikamaru? Asuma hopefully asked. Shikamaru shot his sensei a confident smirk. Meanwhile, Amuri continued to fight Kushimaru. Or better said, Amuri fought off the red-clad Kiri ninja who got in her way as she made her way to the tall, masked swordsman. Her already scant patience was reaching its limit. Stop throwing this rabble at me and face me in a duel, you coward. Amuri angrily shouted as she dispatched an enemy Kiri Chunin. I might, given that you're starting to get on my nerves. Not to mention your daring to defile Raiga's swords, Kushimaru replied as he pierced a rebel with the sewing needle. Raiga's? These are my swords. I earned them. And I'm way better than that fish-lipped psycho obsessed with funerals. Amuri protested. Finally, Kushimaru ignored the rest of the Konoha and Kiri rebels, and focused his attention on Amuri. In that case, show me that you're worthy of them, Kushimaru taunted. Amuri grinned in anticipation. I'm more than happy to oblige, she said as she crossed her blades in an X. Lightning release, lightning fang. From the intersection of the crossed swords, several bolts of lightning flew towards the masked swordsman, finding its mark. The electric blast produced an explosion, but when the smoke dispelled, all what was left was a charred log. Body replacement? Damn it! Amuri cursed as she looked around. Enough of these tricks. Show yourself already. Suddenly, the sewing needle burst from underground below her, piercing her lower body. "Urk," she choked, spitting blood, and forcing her to drop her swords. "Still, bad move," Amuri said as she made a hand seal, and her hands started to crackle with electricity. "Like hell I'm going to let you," Kushimaru said as he motioned his sword. Longsword secret art, wire crucifixion. More ninja wire wrapped around Amuri's arms, forcing them apart, stopping her from making hand seals, and thus using ninjutsu. She struggled to break free, but the wire was wrapped really tight around her. "See how easy it was to defeat you, pretender?" Kushimaru mocked, as he walked towards her. "Now, let's recover what belongs to our village." Human bullet tank. A huge shadow loomed over Kushimaru as he saw what appeared to be a gigantic red sphere falling towards him. However, he was fast enough to avoid being crushed to pulp. The human boulder wasn't done, as it rolled at the masked swordsman at high speed. He tossed his sword at it, but much to his chagrin, it bounced back, forcing him to dodge the incoming bulldozing sphere as well. While Kushimaru was busy, Asuma got closer to Amuri and cut the ninja wire trapping her. "Are you okay?" Asuma asked as he helped the younger ninja stand up. "I've been better," Amuri sourly replied. "Don't worry, Ino will patch you up." "But first, we need to deal with that guy," Asuma pointed out. "My students are on it. Let's make sure nobody else gets in the way of their fight. I admit that, from what I've seen, they're good, but are they good enough to take out a member of the Seven Swordsmen who's also a veteran of the Third Ninja War?" Amuri asked, not being able to repress a sense of shared pride with their enemy. Asuma just smirked. "Wait and see." Back to the battle, Choji had returned to his normal shape, and moved to attack the masked swordsman. Partial multi-size jutsu. Choji's arm grew in size once again, and clenching his fist, he tried to smash Kushimaru under it. However, the tall ninja proved to be too nimble for such an imprecise attack, and easily dodged it. "Too slow," Kushimaru mocked. He jumped over the still enlarged arm, and ran towards Choji as he threw the sewing needle at him. But much to his confusion, Choji smirked. He then enlarged his other arm, and used it to catch the flying sword. It grazed his skin a little, but it was nothing major. "Guys, I have it. I got his weapon. Go for it," Choji happily said. "You're so naive, kid," Kushimaru said with a chuckle as he rushed towards Choji. He pulled the ninja wire still attached to the sword, but thanks to Choji's increased strength, he was unable to retrieve it. Choji in return pulled back with even greater force, launching Kushimaru forward just like the swordsman wanted. He then used the momentum to spin around Choji, wrapping him in ninja wire, and forcing him to drop the sewing needle, which Kushimaru easily recovered. "What do you say now, kid?" Mind-body disturbance jutsu. Kushimaru jumped out of the way just as Ino casted one of her family's most used jutsu. The masked swordsman looked at Ino, still holding that ridiculous pose, and laughed. "If it's not becoming clear by now, I fought your clans during the Third Ninja War. I know how to counter all of your jutsu," Kushimaru boasted. "Plus I'm older and more experienced. My instincts and senses can't be fooled. Counter this then." Shadow imitation jutsu. Shikamaru said, as he once again used his family's signature ability. Kushimaru just shook his head. You know, some people would have some qualms about kill or even just seriously harm children. Unfortunately for you, I'm not one of them. As the shadow came close to him, Kushimaru rushed towards the Nara Chunin, who constantly redirected the jutsu in an effort to catch him, but once again he proved to be too fast. When he was close enough, he prepared his sword to impale Shikamaru. Die, he shouted as he threw his weapon as if it were a javelin. At that distance, the Nara wouldn't be able to dodge it. Then, something unthinkable happened. A Kiri ninja jumped in the way, getting promptly impaled by the sewing needle. However, it wasn't a rebel who tried to selflessly save Shikamaru's life, but one of the Red Clan Kiri ninja fighting under Kushimaru's orders. What the hell are you doing, you idiot? Kushimaru bellowed. Two don't know. My body moved on its own, the poor impaled ninja cried, while coughing blood. Moved on its own? But how? Kushimaru wondered, and then remembered Ino's attack. That blonde bitch. That jutsu wasn't aimed at me, but at one of my men. That's correct. And now that you're that close to me, there's no way for you to escape my jutsu. Shikamaru claimed, as he used the shadow imitation jutsu once again. That's what you think. Kushimaru said as he jumped backwards, pulling the ninja wire in order to retrieve the sewing needle. At that distance, he was sure he could avoid Shikamaru's jutsu. His keen senses would allow him to detect any kind of danger his eyes didn't see. From this distance dash. I still caught you, Shikamaru flatly said. What? Kushimaru indignantly cried. Much to his shock, Shikamaru's shadow had touched his, and thus he was unable to move. How? That's impossible. The ninja wire your sword uses also projects a shadow, which I can use as a conductor for my jutsu, Shikamaru explained, as he shot the masked ninja a smug smile. You thought that just because you fought our parents, you already had us figured out, don't you? Ino asked Kushimaru. You should know that the new generation will always surpass the one that came before. Hold him still. Amiri called, as she held her swords up in the air, which started to crackle with electricity. Thunder Sword Ninja Art, Lightning Redirection. A lightning bolt fell from the skies, which was absorbed by Amiri's swords. She then motioned the thunder swords in Kushimaru's direction, releasing all the stored electricity. The blast was powerful enough to end his life in a matter of seconds, and Kushimaru's lifeless, smoking body fell forward with a thud, releasing the sewing needle. We did it! Choji cried in joy. Yay, go tactical squad! Ino squealed, pumping her fist in the air. Don't celebrate it yet, brats. We might have taken out one of the commanders, but this battle is still far from over. Amiri called out. Amiri-san is right. We need to continue pushing forward. And don't let your guard down, Asuma added. The three Chunin nodded, and rejoined the rest of the rebel army in their onslaught. Meanwhile, not far away from there, another fight with a swordsman of the mist continued. Sasuke, this time aided by the rest of his team, as well as many other Kiri rebels, were trying to take down Jinpachi Munashi. Blast Sword Ninja Art, Blast Wave. Jinpachi slammed his sword into the ground, creating several waves of explosions that spread outwards. Some of them even hit his own men. Jinpachi Samaea, an unfortunate Kiri ninja, cried after being caught in an explosion. If you get in the way, don't cry to me because you get hurt. Jinpachi chided the wounded ninja. If you treat your own men like that, then your defeat is all but assured, Shizun told the swordsman. Jinpachi chuckled. Those who let themselves be killed are weak, and there's no room in Kirigakure for the weak. Even if it's you who killed them? Shizun fired back. If he was unable to dodge my attack, then he deserved to die, as so do all of you foreign invaders. Jinpachi shouted as he charged forwards. Shizun made several hand seals. Water release, water formation wall. Tsunade's first apprentice released a torrent of water from her mouth, stopping Jinpachi on his tracks, and pushing him backwards. Sasuke-kun, Sakura, now. Shizun called. Sasuke and Sakura jumped from the sides, Sasuke holding his fire-wreathed katana, and Sakura's fists surrounded by fiery blue chakra. However, before they could attack, Jinpachi unfurled more explosive tag roll and enveloped himself with it. Blast Sword Ninja Art, Exploding Barricade. Karen, your turn. Shizun called. Jinpachi realized that they were expecting him to do that, but it was too late. The explosions went off, but before they could catch Sasuke and Sakura, Karen pulled them out with her chakra chains. Shizun, meanwhile, proceeded on the offensive again. I have something your little explosions won't be able to protect you from. Potion Mist. Shizun released a purple-colored, poisonous cloud from her mouth, which quickly moved towards Jinpachi cursed, and jumped backwards. Shizun jumped inside her own poisonous cloud, and a second later she came out of it, kunai in both hands ready to engage the swordsman. You're immune to your own poison. Oh, I see your plan. You want to stall me here and wait until the poison cloud reaches us. You'll be fine, but I will more than likely die, Jinpachi deduced. It seems that there's a brain under that skull. Not that guessing my strategy will be of any help, Shizun replied, as she engaged Jinpachi in a duel. We'll see about that. Blast Sword Ninja Art, Exploding Piledriver. Jinpachi motioned slammed his sword into the ground, generating a line of explosions. From this distance, she won't be able to dodge them. Sasuke, Sakura, attack again. Shizun said as she was engulfed by an explosion. What? Jinpachi said in shock. So she goaded me to attack her in order to be left wide open. Sasuke and Sakura tried to attack again, but even if Jinpachi couldn't use his blast sword again like he did before, he managed to jump back, avoiding being gutted by flaming sword, and seeing how Sakura's punch opened a large crater in the ground. You almost got me there, you brats. Your sensei died for nothing. But you'll need something more than dash. Water Release, Great Water Arm Jutsu. A gigantic fist, not unlike a certain Akimichi's, connected with Jinpachi's one-eyed face, sending him crashing against the ground, dropping the splatter as well. That was for my brother, you one-eyed son of a bitch. Suigetsu spat. I'll take care of this, Karen said as she caught the explosive sword. Not killing your allies has a lot of advantages, as you can see, Sakura told the downed swordsman in a mocking tone. Despite the immense pain, Jinpachi tried to stand back, but when he tried to, he was pelted by a rain of Sanban, much to his surprise thrown by Shizun. What? How can you be alive? Nobody survives my explosions. Jinpachi protested. True, but you didn't kill the real me. While I was hidden in my poison mist, I created a shadow clone and sent it to fight you in my place, while I remained unseen, Shizun explained. You bitch. Jinpachi cried in anger. Shizun smiled in a condescending way. Stick and stones, Jinpachi, stick and stones. Now, Sasuke-kun, Sakura, would you kindly finish this off? Sasuke and Sakura nodded, placed themselves at the opposite sides of Jinpachi, and made several hand seals. Fire Release, Great Fireball Jutsu. Earth Release, Earth Dragon Bullets. Sasuke's fireball and Sakura's flammable mud bullets crashed against Jinpachi, engulfing him in a multitude of explosions, and the swordsman ceased to be. A fitting end for one of the splatter's most infamous wielders. They finally did it. After sneaking through plenty of battles, forcing Naruto and Mei to repress their urges to help their comrades, they had finally reached the Mizukage's palace. The palace was a 3-story building, whose architectonic style was much refined than most of the village's buildings. To complement its beauty, it was surrounded by patches of green grass, as well multiple fountains. It had a giant kanji of water drawn on it on the facade. There were several ninja standing guard on the outside. Since the battles were still far away from the palace, these ninja weren't expecting an attack anytime soon. Naruto and Mei were about to prove them wrong. Hidden behind a fountain, the two of them inspected the zone. Okay Naruto, from this point on, stealth is no longer necessary. But before we attack, can you feel Yagura inside the palace? Mei asked the blonde sage. Naruto closed his eyes for a second, and nodded. Yes, I'm sensing tailed beast chakra inside the palace. It has to be Yagura. Can you sense how many guards are inside? Naruto checked once again. Besides Yagura, I'm counting about 12 or so people. Their chakra is strong, but they shouldn't be a problem. They're the Mizukage's personal guard. While not the 7 swordsmen, they're still elite ninja. Even so, we shouldn't waste much energy with them, or else Yagura will crush us, Mei instructed. Do you have a plan? Naruto asked. Mei bit a finger and started making hand seals. We lure them out, dispatch them, break into the palace, and kill Yagura. Much easier said than done, but that's the best I have. Summoning jutsu. Mei slammed her hand into the ground, and both she and Naruto found themselves standing on a massive sea squid. What the hell? One of the guards asked, before he was snatched by a tentacle. His partners followed the same fate. Wasting no time, Mei made more hand seals. Fire release, dragon fire jutsu. Mei took a deep breath, and released a massive stream of fire right at the palace's facade, opening a hole in its second floor. Ikamura-san, take care of the guards. Naruto-kun, follow me. Mei ordered both her summon and Naruto. Naruto nodded and both she and Mei infiltrated the palace through the hole she had opened. Mei let Naruto lead her to where Yagura was no doubt waiting for them. A couple jonin cut them off. Stop right there, one of the jonin called. Mei replied by making more hand seals. Boil release, skilled mist jutsu. Once again, Mei breathed a cloud of highly acidic mist at the two enemy ninja. However, one of them was ready to counter it. Water release, water wave. The Kiri jonin expelled a stream of water that quickly dispelled the acid mist. Smart. Since boil release is a combination of water and fire, it's still weak to water. Oh well, this changes nothing, Mei confidently thought. Naruto pulled out and activated his wind blade, which projected a white, flame-like chakra blade. One of the jonin unsheathed his katana, and went to meet Naruto in combat. You pretend to defeat a Kiri ninja in a sword-fighting duel? Such arrogance, the jonin laughed as he and Naruto fought. However, the moment their blades clashed, Naruto's cut his as if it was made of butter. What? I'm not pretending. I'm doing it, Naruto said with a confident smirk. He then punched at the Kiri ninja, who dodged his fist by moving aside. But much to his shock, he felt as if the fist had connected even if he clearly had avoided it. And it packed such force, he was knocked unconscious. Katamaru, the other ninja cried. Who the hell are you? Lava release, lava shuriken. The other ninja was so focused on Naruto, he didn't notice Mei, and that proved to be fatal. His life came to an end the moment 3 shuriken made of burning lava embedded into his body, burning it from the inside out. Good work, Naruto-kun, Mei praised. Naruto grinned at her. Hee, thanks. It was a nice warm-up. His face became serious again. Yagura just went to the roof. He's not alone. I think he's waiting for us. Mei's expression hardened, as she nodded. In that case, let's not keep him waiting. Unimpeded, Naruto and Mei climbed the stairs to the roof of the palace where, true to Naruto's word, Yagura was there, alongside some blonde woman. The Mizukage was watching the battles that were taking place still far from the palace. It appeared that he didn't notice the two newcomers. Hello, Mei-san. I was expecting you, Yagura said, without turning around. Let's cut the formalisms, Yagura. You know why I'm here, Mei firmly said as she crossed her arms. It's Mizukage-sama, you traitorous bitch, the kunoichi snapped at Mei. Yagura then held her hand. Relax, Aiko-chan. Fretting over such thing is a waste of energy. Who's that woman? Naruto whispered Mei. Aiko, Yagura's wife. While not as strong as him, we shouldn't underestimate her either. She's a jonin, Mei told the blonde Jinchuriki. Yagura turned around, and looked at the two rebels, while at the same time allowing Naruto to get a good look at him. What? Both's a child. A child is the Mizukage? And he's married to an older woman? Naruto asked in shock. Despite my appearance, I'm not a child, you brat, Yagura said in a dark tone. He then glared at Mei. I'm seriously hoping you brought something more than this slow-minded kid to take me down, Mei-san. You talk about not judging people by their appearances, yet you have no problem doing the same, Mei retorted. Despite his young age, Naruto-kun here is one of the strongest ninja Konoha has to offer. She's not lying, dear. His chakra is both immense and very strong. I believe he may be a Jinchuriki, Aiko warned her husband. You failed to seduce Utakata, so you went to Konoha and begged them to loan you their Jinchuriki in a vain attempt to depose me. Pitiful, Yagura spat. What did they make you promise them in return? Some of the 7 swords? All of them? Secret techniques? Clan secrets? Our resources? Or will you simply turn Kirigakure into Konoha's lapdog? Even if that were true, it would still be better than what Kirigakure is now, Mei spat back. Listen, no more blood needs to be spilled today. It may sound unbelievable, but we have reasons to believe that somebody has been messing with your mind. You're under somebody else's mind control. Lies. If that were true, I would have noticed it. I'm his wife, on top of a censor. Aiko protested. That's the thing, you don't notice anything. Naruto countered, I've been mind controlled before, and it makes you think that everything's fine. But it's not. Deep down, you know there's something wrong, but you don't know what it is. You are right. It sounds unbelievable, as well as stupid. A desperate bid to avoid a fight you know you can't win, Yagura told her. I know I can defeat you, Yagura. I just simply don't want to kill a man that's just a victim of somebody else's crimes, Mei sorrowfully said. I think I've heard enough, Yagura said, as he and Aiko prepared to fight. Try not to die too soon, and give me an entertaining fight. Likewise, Mei and Naruto prepared for battle, knowing that they were going to face an opponent unlike any other. The future of Kirigakure would be decided on the outcome of this battle. I won't be the one dying today, Yagura. I won't rest until the blood mist becomes a thing of the past, and such thing can't happen as long as you're Mizukage, Mei said as she started making hand seals. Boil release, skilled mist jutsu. Mei opened the fight with one of her 2 bloodline limits, releasing a cloud of corrosive mist at the opposing duo. Yagura took a step forward, positioning himself between the attack and his wife, as he made hand seals of his own. Stand back, Aiko-chan, Yagura took a deep breath. Wind release, passing typhoon. Yagura blew a powerful gust of wind that easily dispelled Mei's attack. It had such force that Mei and Naruto were nearly blown away. Aiko took the chance to attack as well. She made a hand seal. Water release, famine mist. A thin mist started to envelop the roof of the palace. However, unlike other times Naruto had seen a mist jutsu, mostly from Haku, the mist wasn't thick enough to block vision. Naruto, this isn't the usual mist jutsu, Mei warned him, as if reading his thoughts. I don't know what it does, but stay alert just in case. Then the best solution will be dispel it as soon as possible. Naruto reasoned as his hands ran through hand seals. Wind release, cyclone vortex. Naruto thrust his hand forward, casting an horizontal tornado. However, Naruto noticed that the jutsu was weaker than usual, and only succeeded in stirring the mist, which quickly reformed. "The hell?" Naruto indignantly asked. "You foolish child. This mist dampens the ninjutsu used by the enemy, while at the same time enhances mine." Aiko gloated as she made several hand seals. "Water release, water gun." Aiko expelled a powerful torrent from her mouth at the duo. Instinctively, Mei reacted by using a jutsu of her own. "Earth release, earth-style wall." A wall emerged, getting in the way between Mei and Aiko's attack, but much to the rebel leader's surprise, Aiko's water jutsu tore through Mei's earth wall, before the attack blasted her backwards. Fortunately, the wall at least had absorbed some of the jutsu's original power, and it didn't make as much damage as it could. "Didn't you hear what I said? My ninjutsu is stronger while yours is weaker. Elemental weaknesses become irrelevant," Aiko stated. Thanks to his Sage Mode, Naruto could sense that Aiko was supporting the mist with her own chakra. Even then, the chakra consumption rate was very low, and Aiko had a respectable chakra pool. Waiting until she ran out of chakra wasn't an option. They had to take her down first if they wanted to have any chance against Yagura. "Mei. If we take out Aiko, the mist will banish. We have to focus on her first," Naruto shouted as he pulled out his trusty wind blade. Upon channeling his chakra, the weapon projected a white, flame-like energy blade. "Let's hope the mist doesn't affect my wind blade either." Now armed, Naruto dashed towards the female Jonin, but he was intercepted by the Mizukage. Naruto's wind blade clashed against what appeared to be a rather large black club with uneven-sized hooks on its ends, and oddly enough, a green flower on the larger hook. Much to his surprise, the club resisted the wind blade's swipe. "You're more foolish than I thought if you think I'm going to let you get my wife," Yagura replied in a threatening tone. Naruto ignored Yagura's words and focused on the staff. "He's channeling chakra through it. That's why he manages to make it durable enough to resist my wind blade. Boy, this is getting harder by the second. And the mist may weaken my sword as well." Still, thanks to his senjutsu enhanced strength, Naruto was able to overpower Yagura and push him backwards. Naruto then ran past him and headed for the kunoichi. "I'm not afraid of you, Konoha scum," Aiko challenged as she prepared to fight. Yagura, however, wasn't planning to go back on what he said a second earlier. "Get away from her. Earth release, mud trap." Much to his shock, the ground around him turned into mud, rendering him immobile as his feet were stuck on it. He struggled to get out of it. "Naruto, now!" Mei called. Naruto didn't need to be told twice, and prepared to strike the Mizukage's wife down. Aiko unsheathed her katana and used it to parry Naruto's swing, but unlike Yagura, she didn't channel chakra through her weapon to make it stronger, and the wind blade cut through her katana as if it was made of butter. "What?" Aiko asked in shock. Naruto attacked once, again, and this time, Aiko was forced to dodge the swing, lest she fall prey to its ridiculous cutting power. Despite the power of such weapon, Aiko noticed the boy's swings were unrefined and slightly brutish. He more than likely didn't have anything more than basic sword fighting training. Aiko pulled out a few shuriken from her tool pouch and tossed them at Naruto. As she was expecting, Naruto used his wind blade to parry them away, and she used that window of opportunity to attack. Rushing at Naruto, she extended her hand. Water release, water blade. Like the name of the jutsu implied, a sword of water materialized in her extended hand, and ran her makeshift weapon into Naruto's gut. "You're dead!" Aiko shouted before, much to her shock, she saw her sword breaking upon hitting the blonde, almost as if he was made of steel. "What?" Naruto took advantage of the woman's astonishment and kicked her in the chest with such force that she was sent flying away before she fell onto the roof of another building. Even if she wasn't moving, Naruto sensed that she was still alive. The mist dispelled instantly. "Good work, Naruto. One less problem." Mei cheered, just as Yagura overpowered her mud trap. With Aiko out of the fight, taking out Yagura would be much easier. That was a mistake, Yagura said in an icy tone. Your wife is still alive. She's just unconscious, Naruto tried to reassure him. But it was too late. Orange chakra started to form around Yagura, enveloping him in a fiery aura. The aura vaguely took the shape of a turtle with 3 long tails. Get ready, Naruto. Even if we got rid of Aiko, the fight had become much harder, the rebel leader grimly noted. In another part of Kirigakure, Chojuro and Komori were leading an offensive against what their intelligence believed it was Kiri's chakra golem factory, hidden under a mere textile workshop. They were doing a good job so far, but the arrival of reinforcements forced them to fall back. Where did these reinforcements came from? Chojuro asked as he engaged a rather skilled ANBU. These ninja were probably guarding the docks. By this point, they must have realized that we don't plan to attack the docks in any way, so they're moving their remaining forces here, Komori explained as he engaged another red-clad Yagura loyalist. We need some time to fall back and regroup, Komori-san. Do you think you can provide it to us? Chojuro asked the hooded ninja. Komori smirked under his mask. Just leave that to me, he said, as he started to make hand seals. Demonic illusion, shattered reality. Suddenly, all the Kirigakure defenders saw how the village, its houses, streets, roads, everything, started to crumble and disappear into an endless void below. Naturally, plenty of them fell prey to panic. What the hell's going on? A ninja asked. I've never seen anything like this, another one cried. You idiots, it's a genjutsu, dispel it, a more veteran ninja warned the others. Even if his illusion was identified, it sent the enemy troops into disarray for enough time to allow the rebels to disengage and safely retreat to a more secured position from which they could strike back. In the rear guard of the division, many medics, Rin Noera among them, were working tirelessly to heal the wounded rebels. Many of them were too wounded to continue fighting and had to be taken out of the village, but fortunately there were as many who could continue fighting after being patched up. Among the ninja protecting the medics were Kakashi's animal squad, who were positioned close to Rin, as well as other medics. How it is going, Rin? Kakashi asked. I'm working as fast as I can, yet I have the feeling that I could do more, Rin replied, as she focused on healing a wounded rebel. Even if the situation may not allow it, it's best not to let yourself be carried away by the stress, or else you'll do a worse job than intended, Shino told her. Yeah, don't get so worked up. We're here to keep you safe, Tamaki added with a tender smile. I know, but still, Rin insisted. I think I have enough chakra now to learn the shadow clone jutsu. That way I could heal multiple people at once. While risky, it's an intelligent idea, Shino commended. Unfortunately, most people don't have the necessary chakra reserves to carry it out. That's why I said that I think Rin yelled as she clutched her body. Rin, an alarmed Kakashi yelled as he rushed to her side. What's happening? Kiba asked, mildly panicked. The three tails, Rin panted. It's the three tailsets unleashing its power right now. Despite his small size, the tailed beast chakra cloak made Yagura look rather intimidating. His look of pure fury and anger at the rebel leader and her Konoha ally only made it worse. Very few people push me far enough to make me use the three tails power. However, such accomplishment will do you no good, Yagura darkly stated. The fourth Mizukage leaped forward, his hooked staff raised above his head. A mass of water formed around the hook. Naruto tried to parry the incoming blow with his wind blade, but the water exploded outwards, forming a small torrent that blasted both Mei and him backwards. He then raised a hand, forming a massive orb of water. Water release, Great Water Missile. Both Naruto and Mei wasted no time to make hand seals in order to counter Yagura's jutsu. Wind release, Great Breakthrough. Lava release, Volcanic Roar. The mass of water met a powerful gust of wind as well as a stream of burning hot molten rocks, resulting in an explosion of a multitude of elements. Yagura, however, wasn't going to be deterred, and slammed his staff into the ground. Coral ripples rising. Yagura generated a long row of coral spikes to rise out of the ground. Mei's eyes were wide open. Naruto, jump. Don't let those corals touch you. Mei cried in an uncharacteristic panicky tone. Why? What's so bad about them? The blonde asked, unable to repress his curiosity. No time to explain. Just trust me on this one. You don't want those corals to touch you, Mei vehemently warned her ally. You made your homework after all, Mei. It seems that you have a brain under that pretty face, Yagura complimented. Too bad no amount of brainpower will save either of you from being crushed by the sheer power I possess. Yagura brought his hands together, and formed a hand seal. Water release, three-headed water dragon. Yagura created three massive blobs of water that moved forward when the Mizukage motioned his hands in the same direction. The blobs quickly took the shape of three roaring dragons. Mei was already preparing a defensive measure. Earth release, double earth-style wall. Mei slammed her hands into the ground, erecting two large stone walls between her and Yagura. However, much to her shock, her walls proved to be ineffective as the water dragons merely jumped above them, and crashed against the two rebels, exploding into a torrent of water that blasted the two of them high into the air before falling into a nearby empty street. Ugh! Naruto groaned as he tried to get himself back on his feet. Mei? Are you alright? Why yes, the rebel leader said, before coughing some blood. I never imagined Yagura was this strong. And from what I know, he isn't even using his full strength yet. We've been in the defensive all the time. We're not going to do anything like this, we need to attack. Naruto claimed. I know. But we're an even bigger disadvantage now. It won't be long before some of Yagura's troops spot us and join the fray, Mei told him. Yagura landed in front of them with a loud crash, leaving several cracks in the ground. Does it look like I need help to deal with you too? Yagura mockingly asked. You're on your last legs, while I'm pretty much untouched. Some help you got there, Mei. Yagura's taunting had the desired effect on Naruto, who gritted his teeth and narrowed his eyes at the Three Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto extended a hand, and formed a Rasengan. Let's see how you like this help. Naruto shouted as he charged at the Mizukage, who smirked. Naruto, wait. Mei called him. But it was too late. Yagura motioned his free hand in a circle. Water release, water mirror jutsu. Yagura created a flat, circular pool of water of reflective surface, almost like a mirror, showing a perfect reflection of Naruto. A replica of Naruto came out of the mirror, dashing to meet the original. Rasengan. Both attacks clashed against each other, but original Naruto's attack was more powerful, destroying the clone, which dissolved into a puddle of water. You overpowered my jutsu, Yagura noted, genuinely impressed. How? Is because of your sage mode? Yes, it has to be that. Senjutsu can't be replicated. Still thinking I'm of little help? Naruto asked. Yes. You might provide a slightly greater challenge than I had originally imagined, but in the end the result will be the same, Yagura confidently said. Senjutsu is still inferior to the power of a perfect Jinchuriki. Naruto, don't try a frontal attack like that again, much less on your own. We're 2 against 1, let's use that to our advantage as long as it lasts, Mei told him. Right, sorry, Naruto replied as he tried to calm down. How long until Sage Mode runs out? Mei whispered the blonde. It won't until I start using my strongest jutsu. I'm trying to save them for the right moment, Naruto whispered back. Mei nodded. Well thought. I'll try to create one such moment shortly. With that, Naruto and Mei spread out a bit so Yagura couldn't target the 2 of them at once. The Mizukage noticed that they were making hand seals, Naruto just once, while Mei did several. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Fire Release, Burning Whip. Two clones appeared at Naruto's side, while a lash made of flames appeared on Mei's hand. Yagura realized that Mei would try to distract him, so he'd be wide open for whatever Naruto was going to prepare. He wasn't going to let such thing happen. Just as he predicted, Mei rushed forward and used her fiery whip to attack Yagura. The Mizukage parried the blows with his water-enhanced club, all while never taking his eyes away from Naruto. "I'm your enemy. You have no time to look away," Mei shouted as she pressed her attack. A second whip made of flames appeared on her other hand, and she continued her onslaught, successfully pushing Yagura back. The Mizukage frowned and channeled even more water chakra into his hooked club. He swung it at Mei, creating a watery explosion that put out Mei's fire lashes. Mei, however, jumped in time in order to avoid the water attack. Suddenly, a loud, high-pitched noise could be heard, coming from Naruto. "Naruto, now!" Mei shouted. Yagura looked at Naruto and saw that the blonde was holding in his raised hand what appeared to be a huge shuriken made of pure chakra and wind. Wasting no time, Naruto threw it at Yagura. Wind Release, Raisin Shuriken. Upon seeing the chakra shuriken flying at him, Yagura was overtaken by a fear of the like he never experienced before. If he let that jutsu hit him, it would be the end. Not even the Three Tails chakra cloak could save him. At least not the first version. Fortunately for him, he hoped there would be a jutsu that could save his skin right now. He made several hand seals. Water Release, Water Mirror Jutsu. Yagura motioned his hand in a circle, creating another mirror of water between himself and the deadly attack, successfully blocking it. Now a second Raisin Shuriken would pop out of the mirror, counter the first one even if it was weaker due to the lack of nature energy. Then, the unthinkable happened. The Raisin Shuriken tore the mirror apart and exploded into a massive wind vortex. Even if the explosion didn't catch him, the shockwave was powerful enough to blast the Mizukage backwards, being painfully slammed against the floor. "Ugh!" Yagura groaned as he slowly got up. He raised his head, shooting a look of fury to where Naruto was standing. "You finally show your true dash," but Yagura's words were cut by the unsettling sight of a second Raisin Shuriken flying at him. He had learned that blocking them wasn't going to work, he had to dodge it. As fast as he could, he made a hand seal before slamming his hand into the ground, creating a burst of water that propelled him upwards, successfully dodging the Raisin Shuriken, which crashed against a nearby building, reducing it to rubble in a few seconds. Let's hope those houses were empty, since the collateral damage of this fight alone is going to be colossal, Mei grimly thought. The rebel leader then looked at Naruto, and noticed that his eyes had returned to normal, meaning that his sage mode had run out. Then, he looked at Yagura, and her face became extremely pale. "Naruto-kun?" Mei asked, a bit panicky. "Can you go back into sage mode?" "Yeah. I have two clones nearby gathering nature energy for me. I only need to dispel one of them and that energy will be mine," Naruto explained. "Good, because you're going to need it," Mei said, still staring at the coming Yagura. Naruto looked at Yagura, and was taken aback. What's with him? Why does he look like that all of a sudden?" Yagura had turned into a completely different being. He looked now like Turtleman hybrid with three tails, arms ended in claws and spikes on his shell and shoulders. His body was covered by a thick cloak of dark red chakra, and his eyes had become two glowing white dots. "Naruto, get ready. Yagura is about to unleash the full power of the three tails upon us," a slightly fearful Mei warned, as she knew the real fight against Yagura was about to begin. Haku stood on guard as he saw the bat flying in circles about him. At any time, the bat would swoop down at Haku, and Yagura would attack him from the top of his flying summon, before returning once again to the safety of the skies. While not very effective from an offensive point of view, it kept Yagura safe from Haku's attacks. This time, he was taking his sweet time to attack. Haku was waiting for him to attack at any moment, and delaying his move would get the ice ninja on the edge. However, Haku was somebody blessed with near-infinite patience. Especially for battle. That's how he managed to become so good. He had to be this good. Zabuza wouldn't deserve any less. Not being able to reach Dagura in close combat, Haku had deactivated his walking winter jutsu, since it would be a senseless waste of chakra. He needed to be careful if he wanted to defeat this opponent. The Mizukage son had to be somebody powerful. Finally, it was Dagura who got impatient, and commanded his giant bat to dive at the ice ninja. The flying mammal let out a high-pitched cry as it swooped down once again. Both ninja prepared to trade attacks once again. Soundwave Jutsu. Ice Release, Piercing Icicle Shot. When the attacks collided, Dagura's jutsu shattered Haku's, and still had enough power to push forward. The ice ninja jumped sideways, barely dodging the sonic attack, which created a small crater on the ground upon hitting it. My ice jutsu is ineffective against his sonic attacks. I have to change my tactic, or else he'll beat me, Haku thought as he saw Dagura return to the sky. Guess it's about time to test that new jutsu. Haku made several hand seals before clapping his hands together. Ice Release, Crystal Bird. Ice particles started to gather in front of him, growing into a mass of frost that soon took the shape of a medium-sized bird. The crystal bird let out a cry, and flew towards Dagura. The Mizukage son noticed the frozen avian flying at him. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it couldn't be good. Better get rid of that as soon as possible, Dagura said to no one in particular as he pulled out a kunai with an explosive tag attached to it and tossed it at the bird. However, much to his shock, the bird nimbly dodged the explosive kunai and continued its flight towards Dagura unimpeded. The Mizukage son started to panic a little. The ice bird was dangerously close. I'll give you something you won't be able to dodge. Dagura shouted as he made several hand seals. Fire Release, Dragon Fire Jutsu. Dagura breathed a wide stream of fire that, true to his word, engulfed the ice bird in a torrent of flames, and it instantly melted, much to Dagura's relief. But his relief was short-lived when the fire dispelled and saw that Haku was nowhere to be seen. He was alerted to a creaking sound coming from above, accompanied by an odd cold breeze. What the? Dagura looked up and saw Haku coming from what appeared to be a mirror made of ice. He made a hand seal. Ice Release, 1,000 Needles of Death. The mirror above him shattered into 100 shards, which elongated and turned into needles and rained upon Dagura and his summon. The bat was too large, and was unable to move in time in order to avoid the rain of razor-sharp ice shards, dealing enough damage to undo the summon, and causing Dagura to fall below. Despite being caught off guard, the Mizukage son managed to land on his feet in one hand, leaving a crack on the floor due to the force of the impact. Haku landed softly in front of him, as if carried by gentle winds. You're good, Yuki, getting rid of my summon like that. Too bad you're fighting for the wrong side. Kirigakure has a constant need of strong ninja, Dagura praised. Did you not hear what I said before? I'm not going to side with the village that cost me my family, Haku stoically replied with some repressed anger seeping into his words. He made a hand seal and raised a foot. For more bloodshed to be prevented, your father and his supporters need to be removed from power by any means. Ice Release, Crystal Blade Field. Haku slammed his foot into the ground, creating a row of large ice spikes towards Dagura. Dagura jumped backwards, pulled out a couple of explosive kunai, and tossed them at the incoming ice spikes. While it successfully halted their advance, it was a temporary solution as the spikes reformed and continued advancing towards him. Don't focus on the jutsu, focus on the ninja who cast it, Dagura reminded himself as he jumped back even further while making hand seals. Fire Release, Blazing Nightmare. Dagura summoned another flock of bats, though these one appeared to be made of fire, and following Dagura's hand motion, they all flew at Haku, letting out annoying screeches. Haku, however, merely made a hand seal with a single hand. Ice Release, Walking Winter. Haku's ice aura was reactivated just as the fire bats were close to him. Making another hand seal, the aura expanded, creating harsh, cold winds that pushed the burning flyers away, some of them even being put out by the freezing gusts. You can't win this fight. Your father created far too many enemies during his blood-stained reign. Even if we fail today, another group will rise in the future to finish what we started, Haku told Dagura as he walked forward, freezing the ground as he moved. Then we will crush them again. That's how the ninja world rolls. Only the strongest are able to survive. Dagura replied. Then you won't mind if I kill you, right? Since so far, I'm proving to be the strongest of the two, Haku fired back. He made several hand seals. Ice release, never-ending winter. Haku's freezing aura started to grow around him, blowing with more intensity, freezing everything around him. But it didn't stop there. The cold became more and more intense. All the nearby buildings and Kiri loyalists were covered in frost and snow, until they were completely frozen. The ice spread as far as their eyes could see. No. Dagura made several hand seals. Fire release, dragon fire jutsu. The Mizukage sun breathed a massive stream of fire around, hoping to melt some of the ice, but it was useless. The ice was so strong that it was impervious to his fire attacks. Soon, the cold also caught Dagura, as ice began to grow all around him. His body started to feel numb, and his movements slowed down. Nothiskant, Dagura said before freezing completely. What Dagura didn't know is that Haku wasn't really freezing the village, the Kiri ninja, or anyone for that matter. He had caught him in a genjutsu, which made him fall into a harmless coma. Being the son of the Mizukage, Haku thought of a way to disable him without killing or even hurting him much. He hoped keeping Dagura alive would smooth the transition. A shadow passed over the ice ninja, alerting him. Looking up, he saw two large, strange-looking birds flying above him. One of the birds dropped something. It was too small to notice, but there were many things. The street Haku and other rebels were fighting Kiri loyalist was then engulfed by a massive chain of explosions. Woohoo! What do you think about my art, you uncultured swines? One of the men riding the giant bird yelled. He was a young, girly-looking man with long blonde hair styled in a ponytail, with a bang covering one of his eyes. He was wearing a black cloak with red clouds. He then looked at his partner, and asked, "Hey, Kisame, you don't mind if I share some of my art with your village, do you?" The man's partner, riding the other bird, merely shrugged. He was a tall, blue-haired man with blue skin, small and sunken eyes, what appeared to be gills under them, and sharp teeth, which gave him a shark-like appearance. He was carrying a massive sword covered in bandages on his back. Do as you please. This village has its days numbered one way or another. Just make sure you don't drop your art where the Jinchuriki is, Kisame warned him. Don't worry, he should be in the palace, right? Deidara asked, as he saw the Mizukage's palace in the distance. It seems like there was a battle there. I better check that they didn't kill the Jinchuriki before we can nail it, HN. Well thought. I'll stay back, and make sure nobody gets in the way, Kisame said, as he prepared to jump off the giant bird. Deidara grinned at him. Liar. You only want to have some fun killing those idiots. Kisame grinned back, and shrugged. I'm not lying. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive, the shark-like man said before jumping. While he was falling, Kisame made several hand seals. Water release, exploding water colliding wave. While mid-air, Kisame expelled a massive amount of water from his mouth into the ground, which safely cushioned his fall. Unfortunately, his jutsu drowned a few ninja, rebels and loyalists aside, that were fighting at the moment. While on the mass of water, Kisame then bit his finger, and made more hand seals before slamming his hand into the water. Summoning jutsu. A trio of sharks appeared inside the mass of water, which quickly tore the unfortunate ninja caught inside Kisame's previous jutsu. Look at that. It's Kisame Hoshigaki, a red-clad loyalist said. What is he doing here? A rebel asked. Is he with us or with Yagura? Another rebel wondered. Kisame couldn't help but chuckle at the rebel's rather naive question. What makes you think that I'm on either side, brat? Kisame answered, letting out a small laugh. Now, my pets are a bit hungry and all the blood being spilled around us really got them on edge. And unfortunately for you, they really have a thing for human meat. Kisame motioned his bandaged sword forward, and the mass of water moved in that direction as if it had life of its own. Most of the ninja there stopped fighting and tried to run away. Some of them managed to avoid Kisame, less fortunate ones were caught by the wave and were devoured by the sharks in a matter of seconds. It's good to be home. In another part of the village, Ao was leading a group of rebel ANBU, when he received a rather distressing news through his radio. His men noticed his expression. Sir, is everything all right? A masked ANBU asked. Our men are reporting that Kisame Hoshigaki has been spotted in the village and has joined the fight, Ao gravely replied. Is he fighting for Yagura? Another ANBU asked. It seems that he's killing indiscriminately rebels and Yagura's men alike. I think I may have an idea as for why he's here, and it's not good, O replied. He then tapped his earpiece before relaying his orders. Attention everybody, according to recent reports, Kisame Hoshigaki has been seen in the trade district. Zabuza, Amuri, Chojuro, move there and engage him before he causes more losses. Everybody else, stay away from him. Kisame is an S-rank ninja, and only Mei-sama or our swordsman would have any chance against him. Ao-sama, do you think Zabuza and the others will be able to beat Kisame? A female ANBU asked. Ao sighed. I hope they can. If they don't, the damage he can do could be catastrophic. Kisame was many things, but subtle wasn't one of them. In just a few minutes, he had killed dozens of ninja of both sides, and brought down half a dozen buildings. He started to notice that most ninja, rebel and loyalists aside, were staring to flee on him the moment he appeared. Ah, come on, don't leave so soon. Kisame whined in a painfully fake hurt tone. Don't you want to play with me? How about if I play with you, you fucker, a female voice said. Amuri Ringo landed in front of him, her thunder swords crackling with electricity, as she fixed a determined stare on the missing nin. They gave Raiga's sword to a little girl? Kisame shook his head. You know, you guys are giving me more and more reasons not to regret defecting. I'm not a little girl. Amuri roared as she stomped her foot into the ground. But then again, if you at least have the courage to face me, maybe then you're worthy of having those swords, Kisame added, almost in an approving tone, as he adopted a fighting stance. Are you ready then? Amuri-san won't fight alone, a new voice stammered as Chojuro landed beside her. Kisame raised an eyebrow. Another one? And this one has Mangetsu's preferred blade. Oh well, the more the merrier, as they usually say. If that's the case, then you won't mind if I join them, a third voice said as Zabuza landed in front of them, his executioner's blade in hand. My, Zabuza Momochi. Such a surprise seeing you here. I can't believe that you ended up joining Mei-chan's ragtag group. I thought you had a little more self-respect, Kisame told him. Mei is stronger than you think, Kisame. Anyway, it's a fortunate coincidence that you decided to drop by. That way, we can finally collect all of the 7 swords, Zabuza pointed out. What? You guys killed Jinin, Jinpachi and Kushimaru? Kisame asked in disbelief, then he smirked. Even if that's true, it won't change anything. Those 3, while strong, were still nowhere near my level. I will send you to hell with them, and I'll take your swords with me. The 3 rebel swordsmen tensed up as they felt the killing intent Kisame was releasing. Zabuza needed for them to keep their cool, or else they would be dead. Listen, brats, I know we fought and defeated other swordsmen, but Kisame's more than capable of backing those boasts. I can't defeat him alone, but with the three of us working together, we might have a chance. However, you two must not give in to the fear, and do everything I say, understood? Why yes, Zabuza Taicho. Chojuro stammered. Sure, whatever, Anansi Amuri replied as she crossed her swords and aimed them towards the sky. I'll finish this with one move. I can call down a lightning bolt from the sky and fry both him and his fishes. Don't. Zabuza warned as he forced Amuri to lower the swords down. Kisame's sword, Samahata, is able to absorb chakra and ninjutsu attacks and funnel that chakra to Kisame. Using ninjutsu will only make him stronger. So can't use ninjutsu? Only our swords? Chojuro asked. You're part of the 7 swordsmen, brat. That should be enough, Zabuza chastised. I know, but so is he, an unsure Chojuro replied, pointing at Kisame. The rogue swordsman adopted a fighting stance, moving his sword to the front, as the sharks under him became visibly restless. As much as I love a nice conversation with my fellow swordsmen, my pets are still hungry. Time to fight. Kisame shouted as he motioned his sword forward. The mass of water, that was completely still, turned into a massive torrent, ready to add Zabuza, Amuri and Chojuro the list of victims it had already swallowed. Fortunately, the 3 rebel swordsmen were fast enough to avoid the incoming wave, and jumped out of the way before being crushed by tons of water. Unfortunately for them, though, Kisame had already planned for that. Without even having to give them a command, verbal or otherwise, the sharks swimming under Kisame leaped out of the water, their jaws full of sharp teeth wide open, ready to taste fresh blood. Too bad their targets were much too closer to being predators rather than prey, and mowed down the attacking animals when they got too close, undoing the summon. Ah, why did you do that to my pets? You guys must hate animals, Kisame said as he shook his head. Don't worry, you'll go next. Amuri shouted as she leaped at him, bringing down the thunder swords upon him in a vertical swing. Kisame raised his sword with just one hand, and easily blocked Amuri's attack. Heeding Zabuza's words, she wasn't channeling any chakra through them, lest it feed Samahata. Come on girl, that's the best you can do. I'm only using one hand. Kisame laughed. While Kisame was busy dealing with Amuri, Chojuro landed behind him with a splash, ready to cut Kisame open as he reared back his Hiramakerii. Too slow. Kisame said as he easily kicked Chojuro away, while still keeping Amuri at bay. Amuri then removed one of her swords and tried to use it to slash Kisame's legs. The shark-like man, however, reacted in time, disengaged her and jumped backwards. However, before he could counterattack, Zabuza appeared before him, and delivered a flurry of swings with his executioner's blade, which Kisame parried with great expertise. Ah, I always regretted not being able to cross my blade with you, Zabuza-san. Of all the swordsmen of our generation, I always thought you were the least pathetic, Kisame chuckled as he defended from Zabuza's attack. You shouldn't have come back, Kisame. You're alone, all sides of this conflict are your enemies, you have no allies to rely on. You died the moment you set your feet here. Zabuza told him as he pressed the attack. Kisame couldn't help but laugh uproariously. When did you develop a sense of humor, Zabuza-san? Trust me, there's no ninja, either rebel or a servant of Yagura, that's a threat to me, no matter their number. The few ninja that could be a challenge are far away fighting each other. In fact, the only ones they dared to send against me were you 3. Kisame countered, as he pushed Zabuza backwards with a mighty tackle. He then makes several hand seals. 3 versus 1 is not very fair, let's even the odds. Water release, water clone jutsu. 4 water clones of Kisame emerged from the mass of water the original was standing on, all of them also carrying a copy of Samahata, before he directed them at the 2 youngest swordsmen. Chojuro audibly gulped, while Amuri growled at them, and prepared to fight. Now that the kids have somebody to keep them busy, how about a duel, just the 2 of us, Zabuza-san? Kisame asked as he grinned evilly. Alright, but no swords. You carry the strongest of the 7 swords, but how much of that strength is yours, and how much is Samahata's? Prove you're better than me, Zabuza said, as he extended his right hand, ready to drop his executioner's blade, hoping Kisame would do the same. Kisame, however, replied with a mocking laugh again. Do you really think my ego is so fragile that I'm willing to discard my most powerful asset? Kisame asked incredulously. You disappoint me, Zabuza-san, resorting to such foolish tactics. I have nothing to prove, and much less to the likes of you. Zabuza said nothing in return. Kisame had won this round. All he could do is try to best his fellow swordsman in a fight, as impossible as it looked. Snap out of it, Zabuza. Don't you want to become Mizukage? You never will with that attitude, the masked swordsman chastised himself, as his expression grew more determined, and adopted a fighting stance. I see you stopped fooling around, Kisame said, noticing Zabuza's change of attitude. Much better. It wouldn't be fun otherwise. Kisame then launched himself at Zabuza, Samahata raised above his head. Taken aback by Kisame's deceptive speed, Zabuza raised his sword to parry the incoming hit. He struggled against the shark-like man as their swords were locked against each other, when said man noticed a disturbance in the water. And indeed, 2 Zabuza water clones came up from the water they were in, and tried to hack Kisame, forcing him to disengage and fall back. He grinned widely at Zabuza and his clones. Not bad, Zabuza-san. Not bad, Kisame praised. You forgot I'm also a water release user. Even if it was you who summoned all this water, there's nothing that stops me from using it. Zabuza replied as he directed his 2 clones to attack Kisame. It's you who forgot who's the better water release user here, Zabuza-san. The terrain is way more to my advantage than it is to yours, the shark-like ninja confidently replied as he watched the clones approach. After easily dodging the first one, he smashed it with Samahata, not only destroying it, but absorbing its chakra as well. The second soon followed. The sound of a third splashing footsteps warned Kisame that those clones were merely a distraction to leave him wide open to the original. He wasn't going to let Zabuza catch him off guard like that. Much to Kisame's surprise, Zabuza pulled out a few shuriken from his ninja tool pouch, and tossed them at Kisame, who he easily blocked them with Samahata. The Akatsuki laughed. You weren't very fond of shuriken back then, if I remember correctly. And if that amateurish throw is any indication, you aren't much fond of them now, Kisame replied as he dashed towards Zabuza as well. Displaying a deceptively fast speed and agility, Kisame dodged Zabuza's rather slow diagonal swing, and smashed Samahata against him. With a hit like that, victory was assured. Then, much to his surprise, Zabuza dissolved into water, just like the other clones did. What? Kisame said, mildly surprised. He didn't remember Zabuza creating a third clone. Then he remembered that when he raised Samahata to block Zabuza's shuriken, his view of his enemy was momentarily blocked. Shit. Those shuriken were just a distraction. That brief moment of surprise was the window of opportunity Zabuza needed. Waiting from underwater for the best moment to strike, the demon of the hidden mist rose to the surface, delivering a wide swing upwards. Kisame was able to notice the disturbance in the water and jump away, but not fast enough to avoid a slash to the chest. Kisame's hand was instinctively brought to the wounded area, as he slid backwards. You made me bleed. Kisame said, outraged, as he looked at the blood on his hand. I already warned you that I could use your water against you, but you didn't listen, Zabuza said, grinning under his mask. Samahata is a powerful sword indeed, but counting on that much power has dulled your abilities. I don't know what kind of opponents you're used to fighting, but keep in mind that you're against another swordsman of Kirigakure. Surprisingly, Kisame's anger was brief, and the shark-like ninja shot Zabuza an unnerving grin. Yes, I admit I probably grew a bit confident in fighting you. Trust me, not only you won't be able to touch me again, but this wound will remain here very little, Kisame replied. We'll see about that. Zabuza retorted as he charged against Kisame once again. Meanwhile, Amuri and Chojuro were fighting the 4 Kisame clones. Despite being weaker than the original, they were still pretty tough, and their Samahatas retained the original's chakra absorption ability. The 2 younger swordsmen were back to back, fighting the Kisame clones, 2 of them each. However, when they tried to attack, one of the clones would parry the attack, while the other would take advantage and strike them, forcing them to fall back. God damn it, Chojuro, tell me we are not being cornered by goddamned clones. Amuri complained as she dodged a swipe from one of her enemies. They very strong. Way stronger than normal water clones. Chojuro replied, as he blocked a swipe with Hiramakari. I have an idea. When I tell you, bend forwards. Amuri told him. What? What do you plan to dash? Don't question me, goddammit, just do it. Amuri angrily snapped, cutting Chojuro off. Why yes. They kept going like that for some time, until the red-headed swordswoman finally saw the opening she was waiting for. Chojuro, now, she yelled. After pushing a Kisame clone backwards, Chojuro bent forward, placing his back perpendicular to the ground. Then, much to his confusion, Amuri jumped on his horizontal back as she dodged another attack as well. The 2 Kisame clones attempted to strike her once again, but she leaped above them, channeled lightning chakra through her blades, and slashed their backs as she landed. Way to go, Amuri-san. Chojuro praised, jubilant that they were finally making some progress. Don't get distracted. Amuri warned, as she ran past him, and parried an attack from a Kisame clone. This time, Chojuro's resolve didn't waver, and slashed the clone across the chest as Amuri held it in place, which dissolved into a puddle of water. After that, the 2 eyed the remaining clone and lunged at it at the first time. The clone was unable to defend himself from both ninja and fell prey to their blades as well. We did it! Chojuro yelled in joy. Don't let that get to your head. We only killed a bunch of clones. Come on, Zabuza Taicho needs our help, Amuri told him. Chojuro nodded and the 2 young swordsmen joined their captain in his fight against the real Kisame. Meanwhile, far from there, Naruto, Mei and Yagura continued their duel. The 2 parties eyed each other, Mei and Naruto looking cautious and pensive, while Yagura's new visage shot them a terrifying grin. Naruto-kun seems to be okay, but I already used a good chunk my chakra. Now that Yagura is using his Jinchuriki powers to their fullest, I need to be careful with how I spend my remaining chakra, Mei warily thought. Yagura didn't wait, and made the first move. Water release, oceanic bullet. Yagura opened its mouth, and released a huge water missile at Naruto and Mei. The 2 of them jumped away in opposite directions. However, Yagura wasn't done. Much to their shock, he kept firing watery projectiles non-stop at the 2 of them. Naruto made several hand seals while running to avoid them. Wind release, great breakthrough. Naruto blew a powerful gust of wind at the incoming water missile. It spun mid-air for a few seconds, trying to overpower Naruto's attacks, before it ran out of momentum, and fell to the ground with a splash. Yagura, however, chuckled, and fired a volley of more water missiles at Naruto. Now's my chance to strike. Mei thought as she made several hand seals. Lava release, melting apparition jutsu. Mei expelled a stream of lava from her mouth and hit Yagura in the side. The transformed Jinchuriki let out a scream of pain as he looked at Mei with hate-filled eyes. You'll pay for that, he darkly said, before he curled into a ball. Shadow stroke. Yagura then rolled into Mei at a quick pace, trying to bulldoze her. Mei was agile enough to dodge him, but much to her surprise, after passing her, Yagura spun around and charged back at her. The process was repeated several times. Naruto-kun, I could use some help here. I don't know how long I will last. Mei called, in an almost pleading tone. I'm almost there. Bring him closer. Naruto said as he was preparing his strongest attack, helped by a clone. Mei nodded, and started to run towards Naruto as fast as she could. Yagura, however, was much faster, and would catch her in no time. Wind release, Raisin Shuriken. Naruto tossed the chakra shuriken at Mei, followed by Yagura. Mei was fast enough to jump out of the way. However, Yagura's speed was turned against him when he saw that he had built so much momentum he couldn't maneuver properly, and thus, the attack connected. Ayararak. Yagura screamed as he was engulfed by a vortex of extremely powerful and razor-sharp winds. Finally. Naruto said, happy to see that his jutsu had connected. Will he survive? Mei asked a bit worried, as she watched Yagura in pain, as the wind currents tore him apart. I don't know. A normal human shouldn't. But given the control he has over his tailed beast. He might, Naruto said, placing a finger under his chin. Even then, he won't be in any shape to fight after that. Alright then. Let's get ready, Tohat. Mei asked, her eyes looking at Yagura once again. Yagura was completely immobile. His skin had been covered by a coral-like armor that protected him from the razor winds. When the vortex subsided, the coral armor shattered, revealing a very angry Yagura. He was grumbling and moaning in pain, though there was no visible injury on his body. Even then, the Three Tails chakra would heal them over time. That jutsu, Yagura replied, panting, as his arms and legs trembled. For the first time in a long time, you, Konoha Jinchuriki, made me feel fear, Yagura said, as if it was an unforgivable offense. That was your strongest jutsu, right? In that case, let me show you mine. Yagura raised his head, and opened his mouth. Red and blue chakra particles started to gather, forming a dark purple chakra orb that continually grew in size. Mei paled in horror, while Naruto looked worried. Naruto-kun, Yagura's charging a tailed beast ball. That's a tailed beast's most powerful move. If he hit us with that, we're as good as dead, Mei ominously warned. Your Raisin Shuriken is powerful, maybe enough to stop it. You think so? Naruto asked, unsure, but realized there was no time to waste asking questions. Oh okay. Naruto and his clones started to work on a second Raisin Shuriken as fast as they could. Mei, meanwhile, looked at the forming jutsu with interest. So you spin your chakra into a spiraling sphere, then channel elemental chakra through it, right? Mei said, after a quick glance. Pretty much. You're pretty smart if you guessed it after seeing it just once, Naruto praised. Mei didn't say anything, walked close to him, and placed her hands above the jutsu. What are you doing? Increasing our chances. Do you think it can handle a second element? Mei asked, and before Naruto could answer, she started to pump fire chakra into the jutsu. We'll see it soon enough, Naruto said as he warily looked at Yagura. The orb in his mouth had reached a worrying size. Now taste despair. Yagura yelled as he launched the ball forward. Tailed beast ball. Scorch release, spiraling burning wind. Mei and Naruto tossed the burning chakra shuriken as well, and both attacks met in the middle. The combination attack expanded into a vortex of raging flames powered by powerful winds, while the tailed beast ball tried to power through. Still, Yagura's attack was unable to push forward, ending it in a massive explosion. When the resulting smoke of both attacks dispelled, there was a massive crater in front of them. We did it! Naruto cheered. Yes, but don't celebrate it yet. That tailed beast ball wasn't very powerful, Mei told Naruto. My guess is that Yagura is holding himself back due not wanting to level his village, but that may change soon. Damn, Naruto muttered. Noticing that he was no longer in sage mode, he dispelled his last clone. I have no more clones gathering nature energy. Once all my current nature energy runs out, I will be useless, so we have to finish this now. I think that we'll need tailed beast power to match his, Mei said, shooting a meaningful look at Naruto. Understanding what the rebel meant, Naruto looked downwards. I know Booty still can't control it. Is that a good idea? It can only create even more trouble. I know, but may have no choice. And don't worry if you lose control, your sensei gave me. Mei's hand reached into her ninja tool pouch, to make sure the suppressing seals were there. And the moment her fingers touched them, an idea dawned upon her. Of course, that's it. I can't believe I didn't think of this earlier. Huh? What do you mean? Naruto asked. Your sensei gave me some sealing tags that would suppress the Nine Tails chakra in case you lose control, Mei explained. Ah, yes. My dad made them so I don't endanger my friends if the fox goes out of control, Naruto continued. And if he works on the Nine Tails, do you think it will work on one of its siblings? Mei asked, as she looked at the approaching Yagura. Naruto slapped his forehead. Oh damn. I can't believe we didn't think of that. Do not fret. It's not too late to carry the idea out. Alright Naruto, I need you to distract Yagura. He must not suspect anything, Mei instructed him. Alright. Since I don't have clones gathering nature energy, now I can use as many shadow clones as I want, so this shouldn't be hard, Naruto said, as he prepared to face Yagura once again. Meanwhile, not far away from there, the unconscious Aiko started to stir, as her consciousness slowly returned to her. Blinking a couple times until her eyes adjusted to the light, the Mizukage's wife saw a medic Nin using the Mystic Palm healing jutsu on her. Ah, you're awake, Aiko-sama. Don't worry, I treated all your injuries, you'll be fine in an instant, the medic Nin assured with a reassuring smile. The blonde woman looked around, and saw a bunch of other Kiri ninja surrounding her. Some looking at her, others looking at something she couldn't see. It was then when she realized of something important. What are you doing here? That rebel whore is trying to assassinate my husband. Go and help him. Aiko commanded. We tried, Aiko-sama, but the scale of the battle is greater than us. I'm afraid that we'd be more of a hindrance for Mizukage-sama than actual help, Akiri Jonin pointed out. You were part of that battle, right? That's how you ended up like this, the medic Nin guessed. If we follow your example, we'll only get caught in the crossfire and become collateral damage. You lot of cowards. When this is over, I won't forget this. Now get out of the way, my husband needs me. Aiko said as she tried to stand up, but winced when a wave of pain surged through her body. Easy there, Aiko-sama, I haven't finished with you yet, the medic Nin said as he forced her to remain lying down in the ground. Don't worry, we won't plan to let Mizukage-sama die against the rebels. We'll wait for the best moment to strike, a masked Anbu assured her. Is everybody okay? Haku asked the people around him. There were both rebel and loyalist Kiri ninja, and a couple of Konoha ninja as well. All of them equally confused, no longer fighting. Dagura was still in the ground, unconscious. If it wasn't for Haku, all of them would likely be dead. Haku looked up, and saw his almost destroyed, two-layered ice dome. He saw a strange-looking bird dropping something on them. Even if he didn't know what it was, the ice ninja had a bad feeling, and tried to protect both him and his allies from the incoming danger. And Haku himself wasn't sure if his ice barriers could resist all those explosions. It was close, but they did. In all honesty, he didn't care about the enemy ninjas, but it was either save everybody, or no one. Though even then, Haku was a bit grateful that he had avoided unnecessary deaths, even from the side he was fighting against. Looking at the sky, Haku saw the strange bird flying away. Now he could see there was a figure riding it. Dread started to set in as the ice ninja realized that the bird and his rider were heading towards the Mizukage's palace, where Naruto and Mei were fighting Yagura. Naruto-kun, please be safe. Rasengan barrage. Yagura saw multiple Narutos leaping at him, a Rasengan on hand each. Yagura grinned. While this was a formidable attack, for a ninja of his caliber this would be still insufficient. The transformed Jinchuriki once again curled into a ball. Shadow stroke. Yagura used the same attack he had employed on Mei, and dashed towards the blonde. He plowed into the clones at such speed they were unable to strike him with their chakra spheres. He took advantage of both his building momentum and the rebound to freely bounce from one cluster of clones to another, easily destroying them all. That's the best you can do? Yagura taunted. How about this? The other clones replied as they surrounded Yagura from different directions. Wind release, cyclone vortex. Yagura was assaulted by multiple tornadoes coming from different directions. The resulting clash ended up forming one massive tornado, so brutal it threw Yagura into the air. Mei, now! Naruto jumped. Yagura saw a red and blue blur leap into the tornado, and use its currents to fly at him. Whatever they were planned, it couldn't be good. Even if he doubted they could do any real damage to him, he'd better not take any chance. He opened his mouth and started to gather tailed beast chakra on it. Die, you traitor! Yagura bellowed as he swallowed the small energy ball. Tailed beast wave. Upon opening his mouth, Yagura released a destructive wave of chakra that hit Mei full on, almost instantly vaporizing her. The attack also managed to dispel the tornado, and Yagura landed on the ground with a loud thud. He couldn't help but rejoice at the thought of Mei finally dying. His attack had wiped her off of the face of the planet so fast, and that was exactly what tipped Yagura that there's something off. Wait a second, that wasn't Mei, but a clone. Yagura said, looking around. Where's the real one? What are you planning? The ground at Yagura's feet cracked, and the real Mei burst from underground. Before Yagura had time to react, she slapped the sealing tag onto the Jinchuriki's forehead, as she made a hand seal while pumping chakra into it. Suppressing seal activate. The seal started glow, as tendrils of blue chakra formed from it and began to wrap around Yagura. Arg! What is this? What is this? The Jinchuriki roared as he tried to pull it away, to no avail. Naruto and Mei watched carefully as the tailed beast chakra started to fade, little by little. Yagura eventually regressed into his human form, with a chakra cloak that it too started to vanish. Once there was no more tailed beast chakra, the seal instantly burned in a flash. The experience had left the Mizukage completely drained and exhausted. He tried to call the three tails chakra again, but found himself unable to. He didn't know if it was because of the seal or his current state, but he didn't care. Those bastards had deprived him of his greatest asset, and he would make them pay. That's it, if the rest of his body didn't hurt so much. Yagura groaned as he tried to get back on his feet. It's over, Yagura. You've lost. Surrender so no more lives have to be wasted in this war, Mei told him. Like hell it's over. For you, you betraying whore, a vaguely familiar female voice said. At that moment, Aiko and a group of Kiri ninja landed around Yagura, Mei and Naruto. Aiko quickly went to check Yagura, and helped him back on his feet. Are you okay, dear? A concerned Aiko asked. Much better now that you're here, and you're okay, Yagura smiled at her. Then, he turned at Mei and Naruto, and smirked. You may have defeated me, but even if you won this battle, you're about to lose the war. My loyal ninja, execute these traitors immediately. Mei and Naruto tensed up, and adopted fighting stances as the Kiri ninja unsheathed their weapons and came closer. Mei gritted her teeth at the sight of the current situation. She has been so close to defeating Yagura, and now the tables had been turned. Would her and Naruto, tired as they were, be able to fight Yagura's ninja, and finish the fight before the Mizukage fled? Well, on the bright side, Naruto had still Sage Mode. Said blonde then took his eyes from the current enemies to look at something in the sky. Hey, what's that? Naruto asked. Aiko, being a censor, realized that Naruto wasn't lying and something was flying above them. Looking up, she saw a giant white bird dropping something on them. A bad feeling washed over her. "Everybody, duck and cover," she cried. But it was too late, and the entire area was engulfed by explosions. While the explosions weren't strong enough to kill them, they did their job and left them temporarily disabled for the bomber to do his job. The giant white bird landed, and everybody saw a long-haired blonde man wearing a black cloak with red clouds. While such attire didn't mean anything for most people there was one person who paled in horror upon seeing it. "Akatsuki!" Naruto cried. "Yagura, you need to leave. That man has come for you." Yagura didn't hear Naruto. The explosion had sent him to the ground again, and was trying to get back on his feet. Aiko, however, did, and placed herself between her husband and the new threat. "If you want to get the Mizukage, you'll have to get through me first," she defiantly yelled. While attempting offer, "It won't be necessary," the Akatsuki said, before clearing his throat. There were 9, but now there's just 1. The Akatsuki then waited expectantly for something to happen, but everything remained the same. "Wasn't that the line?" he asked. "Oh, right. It was, 'Let's the 9 be 1 now.'" But again, nothing happened. Everybody looked at each other awkwardly. "What the hell, those weren't the words either," the Akatsuki indignantly asked. He then started to search through his cloak. "Where did I put the cheat sheet?" Yagura got on his feet, and glanced at his men. "Execute this idiot too as well," he ordered. His ninja nodded, and moved to attack the Akatsuki. However, at that point, the Akatsuki pulled a crumbled paper out, and read its contents. "The time has come for the 9 to become 1. The effect was instant. Yagura clutched his head as he fell to his knees. His ninja forgot about his orders, and went into the Mizukage's aid. "Yagura, what's happening?" Aiko asked. "Mizukage-sama, are you okay?" a worried Kiri ninja asked. The Yagura stopped screaming. He stopped clutching his head and rose back on his feet. He didn't look to be in pain anymore. "What are your orders, master?" Yagura asked the Akatsuki. The blonde man grinned. "I've been sent to pick you up, so get over here and let's get going," he said, as he pointed at his artificial bird. "Right," Yagura nodded as he started to walk towards the Akatsuki, much to the everybody else's shock. "Yagura, what are you doing?" Aiko asked as she grabbed Yagura's arm. Yagura wordlessly shook her arm off of his, and pushed his wife back. That's it. The definitive proof he was under someone else's mind control, Mei thought. We can't let this man kidnap Mizukage-sama. Everybody, attack, Akiri Jonin said. His comrade snapped, nodded, and prepared to attack. Naruto, let's join them. We can't let Akatsuki take Yagura away. Mei told the blonde Jinchuriki, whom nodded in return. Trying to stop me? That's not good, the Akatsuki said, shaking his head, before he made a hand seal. Then again, I'm more than happy to have a chance to show off my art. A second artificial bird dived from above, releasing more bombs over the group. The Kiri ninja were forced to abort the rescue attempt and run to find some cover. Using the explosions as a smokescreen, the Akatsuki and Yagura took off and flew high into the sky. No! Yagura, come back! Yagura! Aiko impotently screamed as she saw her husband being spirited away by the Akatsuki. She fell on her knees and continued screaming as tears rolled down her cheeks. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Support the original author by clicking their profile link in the pinned comment of the first video of this series. They deserve the love. Want early access and exclusive content? Join my Patreon community, link below. Your support fuels these videos. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay entertained. Stay safe.